No, they think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who want to fight with me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
My goal is to demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. How y'all doing out there, man? How are y'all doing out there? I hope everybody is doing wonderful. I just wanted to take time out, man. Appreciate everybody, man. Like I be trying to say, man, boxing is doing all right. Boxing is doing all right. There's a lot of things going, a lot of young up and coming boxers that are right on the verge. They like right on the cusp of making it. It's just the conversation around boxing, man, by the powers that be and their minions. I really like pushing and edging, man. And I see what people are doing, man. I really do. The race baiters are race baiting. The politicians are being politicians. You know, the haters, they're just gonna hate. You know what I'm saying? That's just what they do. Meanwhile, you know, I think I'm catching my stride again. You know, on the channel, sometimes I'll be having to take a step back, and especially depending on what's going on, because I'm not really here to combat or contradict or go up against what anybody else got going on in any agenda. My whole thing is silence is consent. That's the motto of the channel, which means all it takes is for grown men and women to remain silent for evil to prevail. So we tend to speak to things, and we tend to speak to things in real time, where a lot of times, man, often we're like 2 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months ahead of the curve, to where when I be trying to say something and have my finger on the pulse of boxing, which that's why I say this is the pulse of boxing. When I have my finger on the pulse, people be trying to, they'll swear up and down I'm lying. They'll come out and do videos doing the anti to what I put out there. Only for, I would say 90% of the time, what I've been saying is right and exact. And then they come around saying the same things. And I realized that a lot of times, depending on where you get your boxing from, you want certain people to tell you the truth. You don't value it when certain people tell you the truth. You know, it's like medicine. You know what I'm saying? Either way, you gonna get this medicine. Whether mommy, she do the choo-choo train and tell you open up, with daddy be like, open up your mouth. You know what I'm saying? I'm somewhere in the middle. I might give you a little entertainment when I deliver this medicine. But either way, man, whether you catch on late or early or in real time and I be putting it out, yeah, that's on you. You just sound real dumb when you contradict what I be saying in real time, only to come around and say the same things months later. And with the meat and potatoes, which I'll get to after I do my little housekeeping, it seems like it's a little bit of that. It really is. There's always a little bit of that coming down with these guys. And I know, you know, they're Hall of Famers and I respect them. You know, I came out and I said that Andre Ward documentary was one of the best, hardest documentaries I've seen. But nevertheless, you know, and I've come around to say that, you know, Tim Bradley, he grows on me, but Tim Bradley, I think he's figuring out that, you know, whenever his deal is up or whenever he gets out here, just like much like Sean Porter in the Porter way, and how, you know, Sean Porter, he's at liberty to say whatever he wants. And he's been doing it for a while. I think Tim kind of knows that. And part of me knows that a part of Tim is like, it's a real Tim Bradley somewhere down there. I think he's getting back. He said he's been losing weight. I think he's getting back to his normal self. I think he's losing weight. And maybe some of that pressure off of that brain and that bubble head is being relieved, and he's starting to come around to his senses a little bit. But part of me think that it's business as usual with these guys, because he's going to say some things. We're going to go over it. That lets me know that, you know, it's pretty much business. It's a business for both of these guys. It's a business for Ward, and we know Andre Ward, you know, he had ties to Jay Prince. Jay Prince got ties to Shakur. You know, and I really don't have no problem with Jay Prince, because it's so funny when it comes down to Jay. I don't even really look at him in the vein of boxing, really. My favorite rapper alive is Scarface. So I don't know why. Still to this day, every time somebody mentions Jay Prince, I'll be thinking about Scarface. I don't like, it's an afterthought as far as boxing, but when you're having these talks, you got to be able to connect these dots and these lines. And part of me is like, yeah, they always on Top Rank. You know what I'm saying? Part of me is like, it's the committee. I forgot what the name of their little group is, but we'll get there. I seen an interview with Mr. Gary Russell Jr. And it's always a pleasure, man, sitting down and listening to Mr. Gary Russell Jr., man. You know, I was born in DC, and I lived in Suitland, and I spent my time between Glen Arden and Southeast DC, Benning Road. So I spent a lot of my summers over there on Benning Road, Southeast, where my grandmother was at, but I was in Glen Arden, Martin Luther King Highway. So in many ways, I relate a lot, you know, to people in PG County, people in DC, the true DMV. And in my later years, like when I got done with the Army, and I was down there in South Carolina for all that time, and I came back up here around about 2017, I think. I came up here to Baltimore. It was a whole new world. You know what I'm saying? But I'm embracing it, man. I love everywhere I've been, man. I make home wherever I'm at. But it's always a pleasure to hear Mr. Gary Russell. He's a straight shooter, man, and he went to Suitland. That's where I should have went. I graduated from Laurel. It was either Laurel or Duval, and I wasn't going to Duval. You know what I'm saying? I wound up graduating from Laurel. The same place where DeMond Nicholson is from, the one who took Berlanga the distance the first time. But yeah, my neighborhood was getting bused to Duval, and I chose Laurel. Way better option. I'm so glad I made that decision. But I didn't get all the way through the interview, man. But that's a good interview out online that came out within the past week that had Mr. Gary Russell on it, and I'm gonna finish that interview up here soon. But I was trying to I was getting everything together and I was preparing myself to do this live, because this is something that I've been wanting to kind of go over, but I kind of wanted to be thorough in it because sometimes you can't always put your finger you can't always put your finger like straight on, especially when you're trying to get the pulse. Like, you know what I'm saying? Normally when you really getting a real pulse, you can just take your two fingers and touch right there. You can hear that boom 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 boom. But like with all of the BS and all of the cannon fodder, for lack of a better word, that be going online, right? Sometimes you gotta take your time. You gotta collect your data. You gotta get all your information over a period of time. And I just noticed that when it comes to certain fighters, especially these guys, these Hall of Famers, man, I noticed that they pick and choose, man, when they want to be right and exact, when they want to be compassionate, when they want to keep it real. Now, nothing's getting more realer than when they took off the monkey suit and they're not really quote unquote with top rank. Now Tim, he's still under top rank, you know what I'm saying? He's been doing his own thing and on his show, and you've been getting a little bit more of Tim, the real Tim. And I'm thinking we're not going to really see the real Tim Bradley until he no longer has a deal with top rank. So to a certain extent, he's playing the game. But before I get there, man, let me just talk about this guy. I think this guy has a lot of potential. I talked about him the other day. Derek Scooter Davis, Tank's protege, got an exciting style, man, and he's talking that noise. I seen him and Carmel Moten. Who isn't Carmel Moten going back and forth? I think they doing the spaghetti method with Carmel, man. They just throwing stuff up on the fridge and just seeing what it sticks. Cause it was Aquan Moses, and it's always somebody, you know what I'm saying? But Scooter Davis was the last one. Scooter Davis, he's just been the one that just got signed with Top Rank, and I seen him fight a couple times now, and he do that body work. He caught my attention because he is a body snatcher. He the one I said kind of remind me a little bit of Lamont Peterson, but he's a little more. I think he got a little more meaner side. He's not as tall, I don't believe. But Fight Hype had a video. Salute to them. And they caught a snippet of him, and I'm like, see, this is what I'm talking about as far as the future. This is some of the things, because I'm always bridging this gap between the traditional boxing and how it was, and coming up into the times and how the landscape of boxing is changing, and streaming and piracy and all these things, right? And then the mindset, because in basketball, they went to load management. And I think a little bit of that has trickled into boxing. And you got this whole legacy versus money conversation, which I think is like one of the craziest conversations in the world. But you always got to look for who's going to run forward and do the things or embody the things, like an Abdullah Mason, like this young man, like a Brian Norman Jr. Like, you kind of got to be looking for the guys that embody the thoughts and are saying and doing the things that you need them to do to keep the sport going forward. And every time I hear this young man talking, all his interviews, it's like, yeah, you on to something. So let me play this real quick and get this in the way before I get down to the meat and potatoes. Got to protect myself at all times. Fair use cited.
Every single one you name, I look at them like that's potential smoke. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of them guys. Like, I don't got boxing friends. You know what I'm saying? The only person I really say that's like a friend, or there's people from around here. So the Tanks of the world, the Lamont Roaches, these are people that grew up with me, or helped me in my progression of being a pro fighter. But other than that, like, I don't have no friends, so all them guys potentially smoke. I don't look at them as, oh, that's my brother. I might not, or because like, nah. If he there, it makes sense. It's a super fight. We're gonna both make money from it. Yeah, let's get it on. Because that's what this sport of boxing is about. And I feel like I'm better than.
Yeah, he talk, man. I don't have no friends in boxing. Other than these guys, you know what I'm saying, Tank and Lamont Roach, they're like older than him, and they're like, you know, that's now. You know what I'm saying? We're looking forward, we're looking ahead, and he's like, I don't have no friends. Any of these guys, all them guys are potential smoke. You know what I'm saying? There's no silent agreements, there's no BFF situations, there's no, none of that. None of that, you know, and I like that. I like to hear that from these young guys, man. Abdullah Mason said, this guy, he said the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm keeping it all in the vein because these are top ranked guys, but you're not really hearing the guys that I'm talking about really talking about these guys. And whenever it come down to Brian Norman Jr., Tim Bradley, he rarely has anything good to say about Brian Norman Jr. And I'll be trying to figure out, like, how do they pick and choose, like, you know what I'm saying, like who they're going to be favorable to or what. I guess it's still down to being a company, man. And Andre Ward, to be honest, he don't even have to go there. Like, he been free and clear. He walked away from his deal a while ago. But Cookie Monster, Bodywork, sounding good as usual. I appreciate that. His twin, salute Bodywork, easily baked, salute everybody. Salute easily baked, salute his twin, Cookie Monster. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm not even gonna go in depth with all of the housekeeping. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to give a shout out to Gary Russell Jr. I'm glad he's back. He's doing interviews. He's being vocal. The other protege from the area, he's coming up. He's going by shark season, you know what I'm saying, with that shark. And that's a good sign of things to come. And then we got Tank. He's getting ready, you know, take on this whole exhibition. And it just got so many people in a tizzy, man. And I'm just like, I don't understand, because when it comes down to Andre Ward and Tim Bubblehead Bradley, man, they are like gatekeepers for Shakur Stevenson. Like, I think that they're more than gatekeepers for Shakur Stevenson. Like, at first I thought it was just a top rank thing, because I started seeing that the narrative around and them not being as critical, them not being as studious when it came down to Keyshawn, because they was doing the same thing. They was singing all of Keyshawn's glowing praises, all of Shakur's glowing praises, even though Shakur just left. And because it's like Shakur, Keyshawn, Bud, that whole little group that they got, it's like them dudes can do no wrong. And since Tank is not in that bubble, they feel at liberty to be able to say whatever they want to say about Tank. And I never really understood it. But we're gonna get some clarity here. We are about to get some clarity here. Let me get this. Let me cue this up right here. So let's see. I thought, okay, nobody said nothing. All right. So I'm sitting up here. I've been listening. Like, and Tim, he's a seesaw, right? So Tim will come out and say something like really great. He's bipolar. He's been bipolar here lately, right? But he had two short videos here not too long ago, right? Addressing this whole Tank ordeal, right? And we're gonna get into it. We are about to get into it. So fair use is cited, man. Look. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair. And you know about this channel. This channel love tipping the balance in favor of fair. Especially since everybody likes to tip the balance in favor of fuckery. When it come down to Tank Davis, you know what I'm saying? I'll just be trying to tip the balance back into fair. So it's like Tim had this whole revelation, but let me, because most of this is going to be about Tim. Now I'll address Andre Ward in a nutshell. When I listen to Andre Ward, right, basically Roy Jones came out and he said Roy came out and doused, you know, water on the fire that he had because he was all whatever. And I seen the whole thing when he came on there with Roy, and it was under the guise of exhibitions. And it's so funny how the Tank and Jake thing brought about this whole little, I guess, speech about the history of exhibitions and stuff like that. And it was kind of camouflaged around Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson. And for clarification, man, I don't get down with novelty boxing. I don't get down with, like, I'm not a fan of the exhibition. Right? I understand that it's part of the whole, you know, get your money and all of that, you know. When it comes down to Mike and Floyd, I don't care, man. They can go do whatever they doing, man. Like, that's their business. Like, I know Floyd, you can't stop Floyd from getting his bread. Mike, I don't think Mike is at the age where he should still be getting hit in the head. You know what I'm saying? But they're grown. They out of the sport. They getting money. Like, who am I to knock that? When it come down to Take and Jake, only reason why I really didn't like it was because I'm not a fan of Jake Paul. Right? And it's real odd because Tim says some things in one of these clips that embodies my exact sentiments about Jake Paul, but I've been saying it, and I always say that I always say things in real time. Nobody agrees. Everybody like take a shit on it. People borrow the concept, they run over to their channels and regurgitate this shit like they said it first and they had it going on, which I don't mind, because the whole word is the whole name of the game is influence, right? It's like actually getting the word out there, getting people to start critically thinking. So I'm just excited to see people critically thinking, but in the manner of Turkey and in the matter of Jake Paul, I wasn't with either one of them, and I had my own reasons, and I gave my own reasons a lot of the times. But when it came down to Andre Ward, his whole thing was he kind of disguised this in the vein of trying to make it seem like everything was about legacy, right? And how boxers of today, they don't care what their peers are saying about them, and they don't really want to prove that they're the best. And I'm like, wow, it's odd that these conversations always come up around when it's like when Tank makes an announcement, or this is a form of gaslighting, because they have these conversations as if Tank is not competitive, as if Tank doesn't want to prove that he's the best. You know what I'm saying? Like, they would have you assume that Shakur is running around doing the things that would actually prove that he's one of the best. Like, saying you want to fight this guy, like, how many times in the last 3 months, how many people have Shakur Stevenson said he wanted to fight or would fight? Like, we gotta ask ourselves that. Like, we never ask ourselves, like, you never sit down, and I told y'all about the subconscious. This is one of the things, and Tim is gonna prove when I get around to Tim's clip, he's gonna prove everything I'm saying. But I gotta lay this down on wax, and y'all know the vein. If you've been watching since my inner way, my Neuer inner way phase, when I was in my Sabril Matias phase, my Richardson Hitchens phase, like all these phases, when I was sitting up here putting out content, putting stakes in the ground for these guys who didn't have a voice, who didn't have anybody to stand, no leg to stand on, and people was not like people was ducking and dodging because they weren't the popular one, or they wasn't the ones with the names, or they wasn't affiliated with this. They were just doing what we needed boxers to do in this generation to sustain the sport. This is another stake in the ground conversation that I'm having because it's needed. It's like it needs to be something on wax. Just like when you go back through my whole catalog, you can go back 2-3 years, and the things that I said in those videos always age well. Why? Because they're not based in anything other than the truth, rationale, real thinking. And I don't even use these guys' personal lives to shit on them. And I still get told that I don't know what I'm talking about, or I'm hating. It's like, no, those are to address the people with the agendas. And when you go up against the people with the agendas and say the things that are not that popular, you're not gonna get a lot of views. But somebody gotta do it. So this is a stake in the ground conversation to let people know how they go about doing these things that they're doing. See, Andre Ward, it's funny how Andre Ward and Tim Bradley, they never have anything to say when Shakur Stevenson is out here running amok, saying whatever. Like, even when Keyshawn crashed out, up until the crash out, they were advocates. Why? Because I don't know if it was the top rank umbrella or they was all affiliated with Bud. Even to a certain extent, a lot of the things or some of the things that was questionable about moves and wanting to show competitiveness and all that when you talk about Bud. Now, recency bias is going to cancel out a lot of those things with Bud because he went up, he jumped up, and he shut Canelo up. So that's going to cancel out a lot of the stuff leading up to that. So he kind of gets a mulligan, so to speak, for that. That covers it up. But they weren't the most vocal when those moves wasn't being made. Like when people were running around doing videos saying, no, that fight was behind me. And I see that they pick and choose when they want to acknowledge what the things that a Shakur is saying or not saying, or the things that he's doing or not doing. They pick and choose. And I'm like, well, if you're gonna have this responsibility, like you're gonna put boxing on your shoulders, and it's gonna be from this whole, like, I love the idea of him getting with Roy Jones and sitting down. I love hearing Roy Jones. I wish Roy Jones was back in commentating. I would rather hear Roy Jones back in commentating than seeing Roy Jones coaching, even though I know that's something he loved to do, because the people that Roy Jones coach, they tend to go in there thinking that they Roy Jones and it don't work out. But then you got some people, like, if sometimes I be wishing that Roy and Tim Bradley switch places. I'm not gonna lie. I wish Tim would go to coaching and all that, and Roy would come get back in front of the camera and start calling the fights like he used to, because Roy could sit up there and call out something before it happened. He'll tell you what somebody's about to do when it's about to happen, and that was more of his lane. So I enjoy when Andre Ward sit down with Roy Jones in the mindset that Roy Jones had. But I can see straight through some of the things that Andre Ward be doing, because I can't help but think that there may be some jealousy. There may be some jealousy that the man didn't make. I don't know if it was the Floyd thing, because there's like a whole lot of like low blows or things that he'll say, and a lot of people do this to Floyd, right? As if like the amount, like as if the fact that when he went to Money Made, and because of the money that he made, that he was never Pretty Boy, like that the things that he was still accomplishing. Because, like, if my memory serves me correct, tell me if I'm wrong, that wasn't Pretty Boy Floyd that did what he did to Canelo. That was what, a decade ago, right? A little bit more. That was Money Made that did that. See, but because he made the money that he was making, he was able to finagle the bagel, so to speak, and make that kind of money. There's always these little low blows that they do to make it seem like Floyd still wasn't handling business outside of the money. Like he wasn't doing what he was doing to fighters, embarrassing people inside the ring. And I see that they're kind of doing that same thing to Tank. Like it's this underlying thing that because he's the bag and he's the guy at 35 and he the quote unquote face of boxing. He's doing all because he's getting to that, like he's still not doing the things that he's doing in the ring to these fighters. And it was real convenient that he's coming off of the draw with Lamont Roach. But I see is some of those things, and I can't help but think that it might be because what it's looking like without the help, without two Hall of Famers running around gatekeeping for you and controlling narratives and getting people, like even the ad, when the first ad from Akim Barak came on in the interview, like when he was sitting down talking to Roy Jones, when the ad came on, Akim Barak was sitting up there talking about, is this the fight we want to see? No, it's not the fight we want to see. He was supposed to be doing an ad, and he come on hating, like, and them guys are starting to be like some of the biggest haters. Like, it's like all of these guys are getting paid, but they're getting paid, and it's almost it's sad. It's so sad that all of these guys are coming out that's getting paid a bag. They're coming out and they're just shitting on Tank. It's like they're getting paid to do it. It could not be more obvious right now than the air that we breathe, that we know that we need, but we just can't see. It can't be more transparent than that. Because every time a mic is shoved in their face, instead of uplifting the sport, instead of using that bread to be creative, I could see if you was being creative with the hate. They're not even doing that. It took for Roy to say, you know what, the way I'm looking at it is, like, there are some, he spoke more, but he didn't care for the mic, the iron mic, and the Floyd. He said he didn't really care for that, but he said that the Tank and the Jake might be a little more competitive. Why? Because of the size difference, but there's obvious skill deficit there. But what I'm thinking is that, look, this is what I'm thinking. We know that Andre Ward walked away on his own terms. We think it was premature, even though he be alluding to the fact that there's still gas left in the tank, but he prides himself on having walked away on his own terms, doing it his way, like Frank Sinatra. And he'll tell Shakur, like, he'll tell Devin, he'll tell Shakur, like anybody that he really rock with, he'll sit down and tell them the mindset and share the mindset that he had. But what I can't help but notice is that it's looking like Shakur is probably going to be on that Andre Ward trajectory, and Tank is already on that Floyd trajectory. So I told y'all about the subconscious. The subconscious does not care if you're telling the truth, right? So all it cares about is what you're hearing the most. So if you run around and you keep hearing every day, all day, every time a mic is, oh, this fighter ain't this fighter ain't that, this fighter ain't this fighter ain't that, this fighter ain't this fighter ain't that, this fighter ain't shit, right? If you keep hearing that, like, from all these different people, Tank ain't shit, he ain't fought nobody, like, in your subconscious, you will start to believe that. It has to be somebody like myself that'll come out and tell you that, oh, okay, what do you base that on? Because if you're talking about champions, he's smoking Shakur. And if you're talking about 26, 30, 35, did Shakur touch 40 yet? So other than the Olympics, which is ironic that the last time there was an Olympics, instead of calling the Olympian, who was over there teaching the youth? Like, when somebody would run around using somebody's name in interviews and all that, who was actually at the Olympics speaking to the youth in the Olympics? Who was actually over there doing business at the Olympics? And who was running around interviewing in interviews using somebody's name during the Olympics? If you guess that Tank was the one at the Olympics, the one who they chose to go and speak to those youth over there, pat yourself on the back because you got it correct. If you were saying that who was the one over here doing interviews using somebody else's name and just putting their feet on everybody's couch and all that, and if you said Shakur, give yourself on the pat on the back because that was Shakur. So it's ironic that the Olympian wasn't the one at the Olympics. The Olympian was the one using the other guy's name for clout in interviews during that time. when the one being used for clout was actually over at the Olympics. We didn't hear Tim Bradley or Andre Ward talk about that, did we? That wasn't no big whoop-de-doo. That was no big ordeal, was it? That didn't even make no headline news. That was just the talking. That didn't even make anybody's like daily reporting list. That wasn't something that people talked about. Like, people talked about sparring sessions and old sparring sessions for days on end, and that really wasn't discussed like that. It wasn't harped on. It wasn't saying, oh, okay, well, they do see the value in this young man, because for a guy who was not in the Olympics, who got it out the mud, who got it by doing it in the ring, somehow he caught their attention, and somehow they didn't have him over there just for crumpets and tea. But the guy who actually went to the Olympics and silver medal wasn't over there. Right. I just think that the trajectory of a Shakur Stevenson is going to be more like that Andre Ward path, to where, yeah, there's going to be multiple divisions, and they're going to say, oh yeah, man, he's probably going to go to the Hall of Fame, right? But like, I mean, unless there's a certain group of people like that's controlling the narrative and bring it up. I mean, when they start talking about the best and the elite and the top of the top, I hear about Roy, I hear about Mike Tyson, I hear about Floyd, I hear about Ali. You got to think that with this 3 times undisputed and all that, you're going to be hearing about Bud, but it just sounds to me that Andre Ward is always like an afterthought. And when it comes down to Shakur Stevenson, if it wasn't for everybody interjecting or inserting his name into the conversation, people wouldn't even. Then this is coming from somebody that's a Shakur Stevenson fan. I just got to keep it real. It's just getting disgusting here lately. Shakur Stevenson is an afterthought. It's an afterthought. Like, if it wasn't for the powers that be and the assimilation, you got to think about it. If it wasn't for the attachment to Keyshawn, who was also an Olympic, the attachment to Bud, who's been doing his thing in the boxing world in real time, getting undisputed, the attachment to Andre Ward, who's a Hall of Famer, the attachment to Tim Bradley and the whole top-ranked family and all of that. When you look at what Shakur Stevenson, like when you look at what him and Tank been doing, what is the big difference? One been drawing the eye to sports, and you can't look. One has to use the other one's name. You can't find a video. You can't find a video or interview with Shakur Stevenson where the sole premise is for them to talk about Tank, or to ask him about Tank, or to figure out what he gonna say about Tank now. Only for this, and this is what bothers me. Whenever he has a fight and it's lined up to where they ask him about that, he start talking about his hands, bro. I just went over this the last time. Like, after he fought his fight with Zepeda, I'm not even gonna go into it, man. I'm not even gonna go. It don't even make no sense. Let me go ahead and get down to this. Let me get down to the nitty gritty. I don't even need to do that. Let's get down to Tim Bradley. Let's get down to it. Listen to this.
Y'all don't bless me. Y'all don't say, hey, y'all love me. You know, look, if you want to know about a person, and I'm starting to learn this, man. You know, I read up on Keyshawn. I read up on Shushu. And I've read up on Tank. You know what I mean? I was misinformed. You know, you gotta know what somebody's going through, man, or have gone through.
Hold on. The real C-Dub, salute Bodywork. So when everybody back then had a fight lined up and Stevenson didn't, he's now just keeping his name relevant. I don't know, salute, man, but just hear this out, man. Just hear this out real quick. I'll get to that in a second. Listen to what Tim just said, because I think this is what a lot of people. This is why I say, man, is because I'm gonna be respectful, right? You're gonna say, oh, you just a little content creator. You're going up against a Hall of Famer. It's like, no, I've been pointing these things out because just listen to this. Listen to what he says. Listen.
I read up on Shoo. I've read up on Tank. You know what I mean? I was misinformed. You know what I mean? I was misinformed. You gotta know what somebody's going through, man, or have gone through, and where they've ended up. Now, you have to understand that. You gotta understand DNA. And we as fans, we fail to realize that. We as commentators and fanboys and all that, like we all don't do that. We don't do our research. You gotta.
They don't do their research. That's why I say you could be a Hall of Famer, but see, when you they're not just hit pieces, because now these guys have made their way online to where they actually have social media and they have they can do videos, so they can do hit pieces, but then they can be commentating, they can be in the event, and then the dialogue that's going on, how the hell are you up here talking about boxing and you didn't do the research? I understand you're a Hall of Fame. That's when it comes down to the X's and O's, the throwing the punches and the defense techniques and the tactics and all of that stuff should be from the hip. But when you're dealing with, just like you would have wanted somebody in your personal career, when you was having your career, all of the times when you got mad at somebody for speaking on you in a manner in which they didn't know what they were talking about. At least as content creators, we gotta find something. With most of it, the responsible ones, we have to find something to be able to justify the things that we say. I mean, unless you one of them sensational who don't care and they'll say anything. You know what I'm saying? You'll say anything to get a like, a click, or a review. Not those kind of people. The people that actually have to qualify the things that they put in their videos for legitimacy. Like me, when I come on and give my point or give my take about something, I have to justify it. I give my opinion about it all the time, but I have to find things that actually justify things that I've said in the past, or my feeling or my sentiment, right? I have to, because you man, look, you don't know nothing, blah blah. It gets dismissed, right? But these guys can come out and say whatever. They can do hit pieces, they can have dialogue, all with an agenda, and they don't even do their research.
Commentators and fanboys and all that, we all don't do that. We don't do our research. You gotta know about somebody's history. So if you understand where Tank came from.
So this is 4 days ago. So we're talking about for how long, how many years has it been that Tim Bradley has been speaking on Gervonta Tank Davis? And up until 4 days ago. He's saying this 4 days ago. He just now did his research. He just started reading up on. He said he just started reading up on Shoo. He just started reading up on Keyshawn, and he read up and did his research on Tank. So how you been talking about these guys all this time? How have you been talking about these guys in the sport all this time, and you're just now becoming that's why when I was following Keyshawn as a fan, and I started saying, nah, man, I can't get down with that, man. I've been following Key, he's changing, and you just a hater. But these guys, Hall of Fame guys, they get paid I don't know if it's hundreds of thousands, millions, I don't know what it is. That's not none of my business. But these guys don't even do no research. They don't do no research. They just be shooting from the hip. And you wonder why people be getting discredited when you shooting from the hip, right? And you're saying certain things, people are going to listen to you and they're going to follow your every word just because you've been a Hall of Famer. Don't you think that you guys have a responsibility to keep it right and exact and be 100? Keep it a thou wow on these guys? 4 days ago, y'all.
If you understand his background, then you understand how he thinks and why he feels the way he feels. You know, you do. So, I mean, for instance, like his parents, right? His parents were drug addicts, in and out of the system, in and out of jail. You know, he lived with his grandmother. You know, like, you gotta understand when he started boxing, why he started boxing. Understand that, you know, that what the influence that Calvin has had on his life, and how if their relationship isn't great, how that affects him. And this is not.
But that never stopped the power to be from always, every time they got like insinuating or harping on the fact, any kind of beef that was going on, like any small inkling of any kind of like distance or any kind of rift between Coach Calvin and Tank, they would run with it. So all the time, think about how many times they put the mic in front of Tim Bradley's face, in front of Andre Ward's face, and they don't care. Like for him to just be for him to just come abreast of these things about Tank and his background, for him to just no, because this is gaslighting. Why? Because they knew this, man. They knew this, man. Like you can't tell me that these guys they got. Listen, when they not at work, they got the same. They got families and just like that. But just like content creators, they got to find a way to actually get these things or do they knew this stuff, man. This is gaslighting at its finest for him to try to come out here and act like he didn't know all these things up until now. So either he didn't know all these things up until now and he's been speaking all this time about the man, just slandering the man all of this time, or he knew and now he's lying. Either way, it's a bad look.
Making any excuses, people. This isn't. I'm not making no excuses. I'm just giving you what I think, and I'm giving you the facts surrounding all of this. You know, I remember back in 2012. You know, I'm living right. I'm living civil.
That's when he started going into his thing that he dealt with when he was with when he went to the Manny Pacquiao fight. But Tim says some interesting things. He says that nobody sat down and had to talk with Tank. He's basically saying, yeah, nobody basically, since Tank is taking everything personal and these are Tim's words, not mine. Since Tank, in the response that he had in that first press conference, right? He was basically saying that nobody had to talk with Tank and told him basically that this is how life is and this is the life with showbiz is and all that. I'm like, first of all, why are you assuming that ain't nobody pull Tank to the side and say that this is like, and plus Tank's been doing this, like, how long has he been up on this big stage with all these lights? It didn't just start yesterday. Like, even if somebody, let's just say hypothetically, nobody had the talk. Tank's been on the big stage. He's been under the big bright lights for years now. Like, this is not something that just like, this is not anything that you could just like, oh yeah, you know, somebody got to sit down and talk to this man. Let him know that this is showbiz, kid. Like, he's not like, come on, man. Like, and now, I guess so. Now, I guess Tim is becoming the Tank. Now he's the Tank whisperer. So now he's Tank whisperer, right? Let me move on to the other one, man. Let me move on to the other one.
I've been disloyal. Not just the fans, not just boxing, just everything in his life. He's been through the ringer, man. You know, you heard him up on stage talk about, man, when did we start talking about people's personal life? You heard him talk about that. You said, when? You know? And the crazy part is that, look, I went in on Tank years ago, right? You learn as you go, man. You learn, man. Life is the best teacher, right?
He said, I learned. So he basically saying he learned. He went in on Tank, and this is when he's getting ready to start talking about when he went in on Tank.
said some things about him, and I told him to call him a piece of shit because, you know, the whole, he put his hands on, you know, on the young lady, it was seen, you know, visibly seen on the video and all that, and it pissed me off. It pissed me off.
Like, so, and since, and like I be trying to say, like, everybody saw the video when he went in there, you know what I'm saying, and pretty much told his lady, grabbed his lady up and was like, come on, I told you don't be in here and come up out of there. That's there's footage of the guy that they're gatekeeping on. Like, there's footage of him doing some things. You've never heard Tim Bradley, you've never heard Andre Ward, you've never heard them speak out about this when it came down to the guy on the screen behind the gate. You've never heard them talk about this. This is what I be trying to say, man. They keep the same, they keep totally different energy when it comes down to it. So how did, like, if you've seen both videos, come on, man. What's understood don't need to be explained.
Right, because I don't like that. I don't like guys putting hands on women. I'm like, y'all, you're the softest individual on the planet, man. You're supposed to tender love these women, man. Yeah, these tenderonis, you're supposed to love them, cherish them, right? But I felt like he wasn't doing that. I got daughters, kids, but he, you know, he was right. Like, that's his personal life. And that's why the last time something came out about that situation, I didn't say nothing. Because I'm like, that's not boxing. That's not boxing. Hey, neighbor, how you doing? I'm good.
That's when his neighbor came. But it's funny because when I was I had watched it earlier and I was trying to gather everything just because sometimes I don't play these things, you know what I'm saying? People because they'll use it against you. Oh, you just need this. No, because this needs to be on record. That's the only reason why I'm really playing it. But my lady came and was just like, she kind of heard some of the things that Tim was saying. She was like, babe, didn't you say this Tank talk about retirement, they were gonna come out and say that they love him? I was like, yeah. Just like last time when right before the Lamont Road fight and Sean Zattel kept asking Tank, man, Tank, you really gonna retire, man? I'm like, and before Zattel, he was part of the same clique. Sean Porter, Bud, Keyshawn, Shakur, that whole clique was sitting up there asking Tank, oh man, you really gonna retire, man? You come on, man, you really gonna? Oh yeah, man. I said, man, people are not gonna respect the dude until they get ready to hang up the gloves, man. This is the other part.
Yo, Tim Storm Bradley, you already know the rest. Yeah, I'm here to talk about that damn Tank and Jake Paul press conference, man. Man, there's so much I want to say, man. So much I want to say that I can't, man. I get fired. You know, my last couple of months with ESPN, man, if I say what I want to say, you know, it's really hard to really articulate it without using my cuss words, you know.
So this is the part where I say, okay, before, when I was like my personal thing with the whole Jake Paul thing, right? And I seen the press conference and all that too. I seen it too. I seen the Tank versus Jake press conference. I did. But Tim was frustrated because this is right after that press conference when Jake said all those things that he said. So this is Tim Bradley basically discussing, right, how he felt. And I got my opinion, but I'm gonna let him go into it for a second. I'm gonna stop it.
Cause man, Jake pissed me off, man, yesterday, man. God, he pissed me off, man. The disrespect, the level of disrespect. This ain't the first time, you know, he's disrespected a fighter, a real fighter, right?
So this is one of them things to where Tim can disrespect Tank, but he don't like when Jake Paul disrespect Tank. Ain't that funny?
It's multiple times, man. He's done it. I've seen him do it, man. You know, he ain't funny. He's not funny, man. He's not funny at all. You know, Tank sat there and had to take it because Tank know he the B-side in this, man. You know, I think a little different than everybody else, man. You know, I do. I'm not making no excuses for Tank at all, but this is just my perspective, man. Tank had no other choice but to do this fight, man. He had no other choice. You know, he was in training for that Lamont Rose fight, and, you know, then the coverage got pulled off, you know, and then this fight came about.
So, I mean, that's enough right there. So, coming from a Hall of Famer, right? Because either Tim is telling the truth or he lying, right? It's either way. So let Tim Bradley said that he was actually training for Lamont Roach, and then this fight came down the pike. So is Tim saying that Tank ain't ducking Lamont? Because the word on the street is that Tank is ducking Lamont.
You know, this is an inside thing, man. I swear, man. I'm telling y'all, this is an inside thing. You know, this is something that Al, PBC wanted Canelo to do. You know, because this is how they eat. This is how they gonna eat this.
And see, this is what I was trying to say. Nobody had a problem when everybody was shoving Jake Paul down everybody's throat, right? And Canelo had it. They were saying, oh, man, this is going to bring eyes on the sport. And I said, okay, well, not that I agree with it, but when Tank do it, they say it's a black eye for the sport. So I was calling on people hypocrisy with that.
That's how they going to recoup. You know, as you know, PBC, they got no legs to stand on, man. You know, money going out, not enough money coming in. They got to spend their own bread, you know, for everything, you know. For everything. So, you know, they need money coming in. And their guy, Canelo, left. He with Turkey now. They wanted Canelo to do this fight. And now Tank is obligated to do this fight, man. Again, to save PBC. I promise y'all.
And I'm pretty sure PBC wanted, like, really, PBC wanted Canelo to actually fight David Benavidez, Tim. I mean, I don't know if you've been under a rock, Tim, but PBC actually wanted Canelo Alvarez to fight David Benavidez, man. I don't know where you been, Tim, but we can run with the idea that PBC wanted Canelo to fight Jake Paul. We can run with that if that's what you want to. Okay, I mean, yeah. Who am I to argue with? Good old Tim.
Oh man. Telling you know, Tank was already signed up to fight for a Roach rematch. He was already signed up, you know. You could just tell, man. I can tell, you know. Yesterday, listening to the press conference, I saw like, I don't know what it was. It was something with Jalen Love, and it's like a secret. I don't know what that is. It's a secret though. I mean, I don't want to assume. Maybe I should assume. Look, this Jones ain't real. It's not real. It's not. You know, but there's always a flip to something, right? And I think that's what Tank was alluding to. Like, hey, yeah, I know what it is, but bro, if anything changes, y'all know what time it is. I'm coming to see you. You know, because Tank know he too small to be in the ring with this man. Tank know. He is. He way too small to be in the ring with this man.
That's some Captain Obvious shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, Tank is definitely too small to be in there with Jake Paul.
Doesn't mean that he can't win the fight. I'm just saying, man. Jake is a strong, big, strong dude. He's strong. He is. You know? He got power. He do. Yeah, he got them big old power slaps. He do. Them joints hurt. And, you know, if you know anything about Tank's history, man, Tank's always talking about this guy too big, that guy, why, you know what I mean? Like, he's always talking about, I'm a small guy. You know, so I think that little back and forth altercation might be something like, hey, I know what it is, you know, but bruh, y'all go in there and y'all try to knock me out or something like that. Like, hey, I'm pulling the trigger. You know, and I don't know. I just feel like I got that from him yesterday, man. I could be wrong, but you know, this is an exhibition. You know, Jake Paul is the softest human being on planet Earth, bro.
This is my problem. Like, see, this is where that's why I say good Tim, bad Tim. Y'all remember Rex Grossman? He used to be the quarterback for the Chicago Bears, right? And they used to always do the film study on good Rex, bad Rex, right? Good Tim, bad Tim. This is the Tim that I actually agree with, because this is why. And since he's saying it verbatim, like line by line, precept upon precept, exactly how I feel about Jake Paul. This is why I'm playing this, because I was saying this beforehand. And that's why I say, this is not me saying, hey, man, Tank, don't go get your money and don't do this. This is me saying I do not like Jake Paul. And for these reasons is why I do not like Jake Paul when everybody was shoving him down our throat. He's getting ready to name it.
For real. As y'all know, he's using the game and he's using the fighters. He's hiding behind the women, you know, uplifting.
Hiding behind the women. That's why I said he put Shadeja Green on there. And he did get Manny Serrano all that money. All the things I said before on my live when I was talking about it.
Women's boxing, I know they happy and they making their money, and I'm happy for them too. But you know, this is all a part of his plan, man. This dude is a lightweight genius. He is a lightweight genius. You know, and he's definitely extorting fighters. He is, for sure.
Extorting fighters.
For his own capital gains. Yeah, I'll put a little promotion together. I'll take care of the women. I'll pay them a whole lot of money. Like, yeah, I'm show love here. I'm gonna change the game in this aspect. You know, I'm gonna bring Netflix on and stuff like that. But you know, his return is much larger than what he's doing. You know, it is. His return is crazy. He making major money. He gonna be probably one of the highest paid athletes this year. One of the highest paid, if not.
That's the only thing I say. Hey, listen, man. If there is such a thing as the American dream, that's Jake Paul. So that's the part that I actually agree with, because when you say the American dream, coming up with a corporation, starting a business, right? Hoping that you land contracts, right? Hoping that you get paid, right? Hoping that you blow the doors off the hinges at the bank. You know what I'm saying? I salute Jake for that. You know what I'm saying? So he is living the American dream. So that's why I give him the credit. Like, okay, in the grand scheme of things, you're doing the damn thing because you live in the American dream. You just fucking with my sport.
Not the highest paid athlete this year. You know, it might be Canelo, but he might be a good second or third for sure. So, but you know, I feel like Tank, man, is put in this position to basically save and render PBC, man, for real. And I know, you know, he's saying, you know, I don't care about the fans, and you know, and that's true.
And I never took Tank, man. Tank care about his fans. His motto has always been, you support me, I'll fight for you. That's always been his motto. He's never been disrespectful to his fans. The people that he was talking to know who he was talking to when he said what he said, because people was doing, that's why I said I'm glad Tank basically cut the grass, because the people that he addressed, he needed to address, because they were just wolves in sheep clothing anyway. Like, they weren't true supporters anyway. These people weren't ride or die with Tank and being his fans anyway. So the people that he was addressing was not his fans. Tank has always been gracious to his fans. He always been humble when it come down to his fans. You like we've heard Bud and we've heard Shakur say F the fan. We've heard Bud say that the people over across the pond were better. We heard Shakur run that same playbook, and we've heard Shakur say on multiple occasions, fuck the fans. This is the first time Tank has said anything remotely like that, and he was talking to a certain group of people. He was talking about some Twitter fingers. He wasn't talking about his fans, like the people that, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't. So This is where Tim started mixing in a little bit, like, because you're starting to hear a little bit of his old, like the whole the PBC disdain, right? And now you're starting to hear him say, you know, things about Tank saying F the fans. This is where he started muddying the water.
Hard, man. Like, there's a lot of truth to that, dude. Like, I don't care how y'all look at it, man. It is. You know, 1 minute we on the team, the next minute we off. For real, one loss. You know, shit, the Chargers, if they lose, bro, people don't jump off the bandwagon. I know it's a completely different sport, but then MMA fighters too, they lose, people don't jump off the bandwagon. I told y'all he ain't this, nah, man, and he right. You know, to a degree, he is.
But phony Tank fans were jumping off and being all extra with the dumb shit they've been saying about Tank. The phony fans, the ones that just know, you know what I'm saying, the phonies was doing that. Like, Tank real fans, Tank fan base ain't going nowhere. That's why everybody in boxing right now who like get up and just shit and hate on Tank every day. Like, that's why they're jealous. Because Tank fans ain't really going nowhere, man. They know the little dude is the truth and they gonna support him, man. Because of the shit that Tim just now coming to terms with, or actually just now confessing that he learned. Like, that's why, because his core fans already know Tank's background and what he been through and where he's from and what he's all about. Not the fair weather fans.
At the same time, the fans are the ones hey, they supporting you. They got your back when you're doing right. You know, so it's a double-edged sword, man. It sucks. You know, and I can see it both ways. I do. I see it both ways. You know, and you never want to tell the fans that, man, because it's a slap in their face. You never want to say that. You know, not out publicly. And he did.
And I ain't never heard I've never heard Tim, since this is what I don't understand about Tim and Andre Ward. With the people that sit in their little top rank, buddy committee or whatever, I ain't never heard him reprimand Shakur for saying nothing like this to the fans, and he said it multiple times. Shakur tell the fan quick, oh, well, you don't know what you watching, you don't know boxing and whatever. The same dude who had people walking out, I ain't never heard Tim say that to Bud or Shakur. This is what I be saying, they don't keep the same energy about things when they address their fans and say certain things about their fans. I don't never heard Tim say anything to them.
So I know a lot of Tank fans are hurt right now, you know, by his words. And, you know, Tank has always been open about.
Nah, the fake Tank fans are butt hurt right now. You know what I'm saying? The fake Tank fans butt itch right now. And the real Tank fans, they just know this man about to go get his bag or whatever. They ain't even sweating that shit. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to hear them up at the top of the Mount Kilimanjaro supporting and promoting the fight. It's not something that, because we know Jake Paul is a clown. You know what I'm saying? At least I know Jake Paul is a clown. You know, but the real Tank fans, they don't give a fuck about nothing. Ain't nothing going on but the rent, the mortgage. You know what I'm saying? That's it. The fake Tank fans butt hurt and butt itch. The fake Tank fans are exposing themselves right now.
You know, typically saying that, like, hey, man, I'm trying to get this bread. You know, I'm trying to get this bread. And that's that. But I'll go even a little deeper, right? In my thoughts, in the way I think. So remember Earl Spence? Remember there was a guy named.
Now this is where, look, now this is where Tim, like, now I'm calling Big Cap. I'm calling Big Cap, and then we're gonna go ahead and get into this discussion because we've heard enough from Tim. But I'm about to call Big Cap. Like, listen to this bullshit.
Terrence Crawford, you know, chasing him down. You know, Terrence Crawford want that big fish. You know, he want that big fish. He's let me have it. I love fishing. Yeah. Give me that big fish. And Spence didn't listen to Heyman. He was like, man, don't do that. Don't do that, man. Hey, you want to remain a top dog here in our stable? Bro, don't do that. And Spence, being the man that he is, and having pride in himself and in believing in himself, he did it. He did it. And you see.
Now, I do believe that they were telling him, hey, man, at this point, fuck that Bud fight. I do believe it, and I do think that Spence did the honorable thing, and he gave everybody that fight because that was the fight for undisputed, and that's what everybody was wanting, regardless of Bud running away, taking the Abenesian fight, prolonging it, doing all that stuff that he was doing. I guess negotiating his value and whatever, playing chess the way Bud played chess, and getting all of his demands met, like the shrewd businessman that they say he is, right? With Earl Spence, the brother, right? Raking him over the coals that way, right? I do believe that Allen was like, yeah, man, you don't need this fight, Earl. So Tim is right in that aspect, but let him go on because he's getting ready. This is what they always do. They'll bring up this Bud and they try to make everything seem like this. They try to make everybody they try to pigeonhole everybody into this Bud versus Spence shit. Listen to what he's saying.
You saw what happened, right? It's the same thing right here, man. And Al probably told Gervonta Davis, man, you don't need that guy, Shakur Stevenson, man. You don't need that guy. Hey, look, I told.
So he's telling Shakur, you don't need that guy. But we had Steven Espinosa basically saying that, yeah, they reached out and there was talks. Some people are even out here saying it was a number. And that Shakur wanted a multi-fight deal. It was supposed to be $6 million. I don't know if it was any back end or whatever. I don't like getting into these numbers. But they always act like it's always the Shakur only fans and that whole clique that always act like this point in time, like they do in all these other things, revisionist historians, they act like Steven Espinosa ain't say this. They act like Shakur ain't say something like, yeah, we said we was going to circle back or whatever. Like there was nothing there. Like Tank just been running, dipping, and died. That's why I don't agree with this being the same situation. Now, I don't agree with it being the same situation in the fact that they reached out for an offer already. Then the shit Tim getting ready trying to say, he's trying to say the same thing gonna happen. Like, listen to what he's saying. Listen to what he's saying.
Yes, you didn't need Crawford. Now, you disobeyed me. You saw what happened. You saw what happened with Spence. Now, you disobeyed me. Now, I'm not saying he's gonna knock out. I'm not saying he's gonna knock out. Shakur gonna knock out Tank. But Shakur can beat him. And Al, PBC know that. They know it. So
that's the whole thing. Like, you see, it's two different things. First of all, they reached out to make the deal. Shakur said no. Shakur went over there with Matchroom. So that's the lie. And then the whole thing about, like, respectfully, right? Tank and Spence, they're not the same. Like, a lot of people went on to know that the reason why Bud was able to beat Spence because they were saying that Spence is one-dimensional. Tank is not one-dimensional. And Shakur has fragile hands. So this, because you got a couple, like you got two Hall of Famers running around saying the same thing. I told y'all about the subconscious. It don't matter whether or not the things that are being said are true or not. But the fact that these people keep saying these things over and over again, your subconscious will have you running around thinking that this shit is true. Because if Shakur was so confident in this fight, why every time they ask him about the fight, when he comes available, when they ask him, he start talking about his hands. He start talking about his hands when it come down to Tank. Oh man, I want my hands healed. And then when he seen what happened with Tank and Lamont Roach, oh yeah, I fight Lamont right next. But what about your hands, bruv?
Them phalanges.
Because every time I'm like, here you go with this phalanges nonsense. You know what I'm saying? AC, what's good, man?
What's good, man? Yeah, bro. Yeah, another one of these fucking crazy ass days, man. Ordering furniture for this fucking restaurant, and then the order is canceled late in the evening, and I'm like, okay, so what about the payment? When am I getting that? Oh, that's gonna come in for. No, it's not. You're gonna put that shit back ASAP. So that shit took like 2 hours of talking crisis managers and escalators and shit like that. But to get to the meat and potatoes of the meat and potatoes, my whole thing is this, bro. There's two people that I honestly feel have no real place speaking on Tank. You feel what I'm saying? Because if I look back at where Tank is, just in um, just in name recognition, you feel what I'm saying? Ward and Tim Bradley combined never had that. Maybe now they may have it that they're, sport commentators and shit like that. But while you were active in the sport, you were never, ever, ever on that bag level or anything of a Tank Davis. So for you, Tim Bradley, number one, to come out your face and say you just learned these things about Tank. I can remember a time where when Tank brought that property. Remember when he brought that property in Baltimore?
Mm-hmm.
Tim Bradley came out and spoke about that. And he was like, I'm so proud of this young man to come from where he came from and his situation, to rise up and now be able to go back to that same community and buy a property. That is the American dream. And, I give my all salutes to a young black man that's out here doing it like that. And many of these other young fighters need to understand that this is how you do it. You become a champion, you give back to your neighborhood. And now you out here, like you were saying, with gaslighting. Hey, Tim, that shit is on record where you was talking about how proud you was of Tank buying up that property. And how of a tragedy it was when people came in and started that fire or vandalized, whatever it was with it. So, miss me with all of that bullshit, Tim. You feel what I'm saying? Because I've watched you as a person of color say derogatory shit about other fighters of color. And just to bring that aspect in, this is why people from remembering all the people that was like, fuck Andre Ward, I don't fuck with him, was the fact that how you chose to implement your blackness. Because any other time you were on this, I'm biracial, I'm biracial, I'm special, I'm this, I'm that, because I'm biracial. But then when somebody would say something about the fact that you look more black, then it's like, see, that's the problem that I had growing up, because I was biracial, people made fun of the way I talk and the way I announce things, and people would try to bully me and stuff like that. I'm like, weren't you an amateur boxer? And he was an Olympian, if I'm correct. So who the fuck was bullying you that you couldn't beat the shit out of him?
And Andre wasn't no nice guy. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you seen his documentary, he wasn't no nice guy like that. Andre, that's this Andre Ward. Like, that's the, I guess, the saved Andre Ward. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's just like, bro, I was probably one of the dudes who was a longtime fan of yours, and used to go to bat for you and stuff like that. But to hear you talk about this man and knowing that you had to go to Rock Nation and go talk to my boy Brian and shit like that, so you can be a person that has name recognition. Because even when Teddy Atlas had you and Bud Crawford right there, and he told both of y'all to your face, I don't think you two guys are, number one or number two pound for pound or whatever. I think Lomachenko is really the better fighter between all three of them. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That when it was shit like that just let people know at that moment we could say what we want about these fighters, and that was a harsh realization for me. And there were some, boxing purist fans like myself, it was like, you know what? Teddy Atlas, you can go suck a dick right now, because that shit is highly disrespectful. You feel what I'm saying? But I think in Teddy Atlas' mind, it wasn't his thing with being on that pound for pound list was also name recognition. I think that might have been a caveat for him. Like, how do you have a pound for pound guys that don't nobody fucking know about? Like, there is no name recognition if you said in the same sentence of Vasily Lomachenko versus a Terrence Crawford versus a Andre Ward. They probably ask you, who are the other two guys? I know Loma. That's that Olympian dude, that little Ukrainian dude that's mad nice, that got the little hat with the ball and he be punching that shit. I know him. But who the fuck is that Crawford dude? The dude from Omaha. Omaha got a boxer? Yeah, bud. Oh, the dude who fought Gamboa. Oh, that dude. Yeah, now I think I know. You feel what I'm saying? And that's how people, you had to go through steps to get someone to recognize who Crawford was, and you had to go through steps to get who people knew Ward was. So it's like, okay, it goes to the argument I think we was making the other day. Being the fan of the boxing purists versus the casuals means don't nobody really know you. The percentage of people that know you is out of 100 is probably 10%. And that's that 10%, that's the boxing purists, the guys that watch the fight, the guys that look for the new guys. The casuals, they know the person who's already established or the person that the media is telling you is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Mm-hmm. And in that case and at that right time, if I was going to put my thumb on the scale, Vasily Lomachenko, name recognition at that point, had you two niggas beat. Like, you could have Voltroned up and combined and shit like that, and it still wouldn't have mattered. Because Top Rank wasn't pushing you, and you two dudes were on Top Rank at that time, like they were doing with Lomachenko. That's the company you signed with. At the end of the day, you Andre Ward, knowing this that I know about you, and I just pointed that out. And Tim Bradley kind of falls into the same category. Yes, he had some great fights. Andre Ward had some great fights, but Andre Ward had to go to a PR company to build his name within the hip hop community, because that would have been the fastest way for him to become a household recognition. At least when it came down to the majority probably being Asian fans and black fans, or Asian fans and rich white kid fans. You feel what I'm saying? Because they were actually the majority consumer of hip hop albums. Although we could talk about Big was whatever, it was a lot of Asians and white boys that bought this. Black niggas went and bootlegged this shit. They went to Napster and shit like that when all of that was out. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's just the reality. So for me, it's cringe to watch you two try to talk shit about Tank, to prop up Shakur. Yeah. Knowing who Shakur is. As Shakur, you could probably follow the Andre Ward path. Easy as pumpkin pie. Because there are a lot of people who question, was Andre Ward really, really that great? Because he didn't fight a lot of the other dudes. But Pertains was there when you fought Kovalev.
See, that's what I try. I try not to do it because it seemed like it's retaliation. But I was one of the ones who said the first Kovalev fight, I was on here even before I saw the documentary. I was on here saying I didn't believe that. I didn't think he won it. You know what I'm saying? I remember I used to go on a very popular channel.
I didn't think he won neither. I thought
I used to go on a very popular channel. They would always bring that up. And I will always say I didn't think, and then there was like, I already know how this dude get when you don't agree with him. So I was like, I don't know why you all like. It was like every so often they'll bring that fight up, and I'm like, I was one of the ones that say he lost the first time. So yeah, you can't tell me. I mean, I went back and watched it. Me
and all the fans, me and a bunch of dudes was in my homeboy like family room and shit, watching that fight on the big screen. You feel what I'm saying? One of my homies in Long Island. It was about 6 of us. All 6 of us was like, get the fuck out of here. Kovalev, nah, bro, robbery.
Yeah.
Robbery.
Yeah.
We was yelling that shit out, standing up like, bro, this, come on, man. Where did he beat him?
And you know what's so funny, AC, is the fact that that's one of those things, and that was one of those fights to where people, and I just was talking to my lady about this, about another fight, but people were saying that he won because they were attempting to be on code, ironically, for him.
Yeah, I wasn't on code for him. No, none of us was on code for him because he made that fucked up ass statement trying to say black dudes was bullying him because of the way he talked. That is the most cliche. Like, that shit really gets you beat up here in New York when these interracial dudes come out and say some shit like that. I had a dude I went to high school for the longest. Man, I spent the night over this dude's house. I know his mother's father, everything like that. He became famous as a musician. He told the story about when we was in high school, just the abbreviated version of it. I had on this yellow, really like a mustard color Izod shirt when the Izod was like popping in the 80s and shit like that. Mm-hmm. He came to school the same day I just bought mine at Macy's the day before. He came to school with the same one. We both looked fly as hell the way we put it together. I walked up to him. I didn't know him at the time. So I walked up to him and I was like, oh shit, you bit my shirt? On some real shit, 3 o'clock come right after school, me and you gonna fight. And I just turned around and walked away. So all my friends started laughing. They was like, I know you just ain't, like, that nigga looked terrified. And I looked back at him and yeah, he looked terrified. So I walked back up to him, say, yo, what's your name, homie? He's like, yo, my name Chauncey. I was like, look, I was just joking with you. I would never fight on anybody over some stupid shit like that. You feel what I'm saying? I said, you know, listen, I'm just joking with you. Leave it alone. And I had a reputation in the high school at that time for putting hands on people. So he goes and he gets in front of these people and he was like, yeah, I can remember a time when I had bought, my mother had took me shopping at Macy's and brought me a yellow Izod shirt. And this guy walked up to me and wanted to fight me because he and I had on the same shirt. And, you know, I really felt that he was bullying me because because I was a biracial kid. And he never said anything that we became best of friends of that. We still were best of friends up until that moment. I went on this Facebook joint and I said, yo, Sean, on some real shit, bro, what the fuck was that? You gonna tell some fuckboy story like that about me knowing that I came to you like, what, 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes after that because you looked so fucking scared that I told you I wasn't gonna fight you? It was a joke. And it was a joke because you can ask Aunt Wiley. Because me and this dude, Aunt Wiley, were good friends. He was the type of guy that plays practical jokes on people and shit like that. Like if you just got a clean fade, he the dude that'll walk up to you with a damn hand and smack this shit out you in the back of your neck. So that's what that was. And it was just like that. When Andre Ward said those things, it brought me back to that situation and how much of a disdain and disrespect I have for people that try to use these type of stories. So once they become famous, so they can say, yeah, I was victimized. Why would you want fame to come your way off of being a victim? I'd rather my fame be brought to me because of my deeds and because I was never victimized by nobody. So when Ward does stuff like that, it's just like it's a disdain. It just like I could never really put myself in a position to where I I had a lot of respect for him. Now, I'm the caveat to that is once he started his channel and you got to see that other side of him, and I was like, yo, the dude is amazing at doing these interviews. He makes these fighters feel extremely relaxed, and they just start to tell it all. The one he did with Roy Jones, classic in my book.
Yeah.
That shit should be a documentary on its own. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like you're slowly growing on me. Don't fuck it up, and then try to be on this narrative bandwagon or take the narrative express straight to I'm trying to shit on you, Bill. It's like, bro, let that train go by, man. You don't need to be on that train. Take the local, because then you'll learn more. You know what I'm saying?
See, I think with Andre Ward, I think with him, he do better with the older guys, like, or the guys that he don't have like a special interest in, like getting any like unbiased or any straightforward, like with that whole Keyshawn, Shakur, Bud, whatever click, like that's just gonna be what it is. Like,
yeah, you giving them softball questions. It's like nothing really challenging.
Yeah,
or you're giving them the opportunity to apologize about some shit.
Yeah, because I even felt like it was okay with the Devin thing, but it was like, I don't know if that was like some whole Bay Area, like Cali shit. I don't know what it was, but I just think that he do better with the older guys. Like,
yeah,
he do better with the older guys, man. And like
I think
like
it's more respect.
that thing with Roy, classic. Like like Andre Ward's personal documentary, one of the hardest documentaries I've ever seen. Like,
yeah.
So I have a place for Andre Ward, and I have a high respect for Andre Ward. But what I can see is that I believe that there is some jealousy, man. I think it's some, because you can hear it when he did an interview. I think it was with Shakur? I think it was with Shakur. And he said something like telling the promoter, well, that's not my problem. Like, basically, it was about money, and he was like, well, that's not my problem. I'm like, well, when you're not box office and you're not demanding a certain amount, you can dictate that you get paid a certain amount, which is your value, which is your worth, which is cool, right? But sometimes you get in a position where if you're getting a certain amount, they don't have enough for an opponent, and ironically, this is what Eddie is doing with Boots. I believe it's like you get in a situation, you're the marquee item, you're the main, you the guy, and because you're getting whatever it is you're getting, and your promoter believe in you, it ain't no room to pay the other guy, because ain't nobody else gonna take that amount to fight you. Like, that's the real thing. So you can't, sometimes, like, depending on how you are and what you're doing, you kind of can't have it both ways. Yeah. So I kind of thought that it might have been a little off for Andre Ward to tell somebody like Shakur that, or to even try to embed that in his head, because with that mindset, Shakur's going to run with that. Now, he can sell at home in New Jersey. Like, he can pack that out in his home, whatever. Like, he can do that. 12, 14, he can get 12, 14 in there. Outside of that, without the right promotion, because you seen when Top Rank tried to do it. Like, and the people were walking out and it flopped because of the style and all of that. Like, that kind of stuff don't go away. So you can get a certain amount. Now, Turkey came by with the turkey bag, and it's like, all right, well, I proved my worth. It's like, no, you didn't necessarily prove your worth. You proved that Turkey was going to do anything to start snatching up anybody that might have had any kind of, they might have sniffed Javante in his direction. He's like, no, come over here. I got a bag for you and you and you. So it was like Turkey thought that he could just buy up any kind of competition opposite of Tank. So you fell into that to where you got a bag. Do that say that is your value? It could be, but the market value over there didn't dictate that. That was something that he paid you, whatever y'all worked out. Jay Prince, whatever, however that worked, you got that bag. That didn't dictate that that's really what your market value was. I'm not gonna tell a boxer what it is, but you can't have it both ways where you didn't want the bag with that Tank and then was offering you because you either wanted a multi-fight deal or you thought that wasn't enough. Well, it's like you can't have it both ways at that point in time. And I think some of that was him thinking that he's already in the upper echelons with the Terrence Bud Crawfords and the Andre Wards and all that. And like, you're not there yet. Like, you're on your way. Your trajectory says you're on that way, but your trajectory really say that you're more like, you're not on a Bud's trajectory and you're not on a Floyd Mayweather trajectory. You're more like on an Andre Ward's trajectory.
Yeah, because now, Andre Ward was never the bag. He never was the bag.
Right.
He was just nice for what he got. You nice, but you still had to settle for what they offered you because you weren't a draw. You can't promote. You weren't a pay-per-view star. None of that shit.
Yeah. And then the whole, you having to explain the sweet science to everybody who watch your fights. Like, oh no, man, you don't know. You don't like what, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, hold on, let me see. Let me play this real quick.
Don't understand what they're watching. Like, person like me, nah, not at all. You know, the public don't understand what they're watching. Like, person like me, I sit there and I watch over and over. The public, they gonna watch one night, make their opinions one night. But even like, I'll give you an example, like the Edwin De Los Santos fight. The public shitted on that fight, but when I go back and I watch it over and over and over, I appreciate it a lot more just because of the fact that I know what I'm dealing with. I know what's going on and I know what's in front of me. I know that there's a great fighter in front of me with speed, power, reaction. And for me to still be able to get that job done, I think is one of my most underrated performances.
Oh, see, so you gotta explain shit like that to the public. Like, that's why I say, as far as like being in the stratosphere of another fighter where they don't gotta explain, all they know is that you got knocked the fuck out. Now, when it comes down to the resumes, they be trying to say that these guys are eons apart. The only thing that Shakur has done that Tank hasn't done was, one, he was an Olympian, and two, he unified. Outside of that, when you talk about the champions and the number of champions and all of that, and people who went on to be champions in divisions, in every category, Tank is smashing them.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you talking about? Like, and why do y'all not police up your guy?
But that's the only talking point that they really rely on is, but listen, y'all could say what the fuck y'all want to say about Tank, but Tank ain't never unified. Okay.
Yeah, like that's it. Like that's it. That's it. Now and now Jerron, he can say he unified, but look at what the position he in. I had just gave him the props. I said, well, one thing that he did was they not gonna be able to say that he didn't unify. And then what was his next couple moves?
Yeah. But when you see, for me, it's like when I look at these guys' careers and everything, and when I look at the moves that they making, and then you know you wind up getting in a no-win discussion, you know, between one of these guys that want to insert Shakur name no matter what the situation is. You feel what I'm saying? We could be talking about a boxer who passed away. There'll be one of these guys, you know, stylistically, you know, Shakur did show tendencies of this guy's styles, and that's why I think Shakur is one of the greatest boxers that ever walked the planet. And then people like, the fuck did you just say? Like, If this is this person's moment, this Shakur got shit to do with this, and you look at his. I'm gonna just be bold enough to say it. If I had to look at a boxer and say to myself, who is the most entitled boxer that I've ever come across in boxing? There's only one name that comes to my mind. Shakur. Because you talk in a manner that if there was a Mount Rushmore of boxing, you would be belly aching every day that why ain't my face up there? Look at my performances. Ain't no other young fighter out here doing what I'm doing. And you would be saying all of this goofy shit, knowing that a person like Bodywork, right, does shoots it straight down the middle, right? But consistent on calling out the things that Devin does. Said, it looks like we're looking at a reversal of roles because one dude is actually looking like he's chasing the greatness and looking to do the things that would get him on a boxing Mount Rushmore if one was to ever exist. And we went to division by division or however people wanted to categorize it. For me, that speaks volumes, and for so many different Shakur fans out there, when you have solid Shakur fans like myself and Bodywork who can talk about the good of Shakur, and if you ever tried to debate us on him, we will crush you on this dude. Because a lot of you dudes claiming that you're Shakur fans don't know shit about this dude. So when this dude says some entitled shit like the boxing fans don't know what we're looking at. Hey, listen, we never trained to be a boxer, so we're not supposed to know what we're looking at. Our only thing is this shit entertaining? So you can't tell me that I don't know or what I can't see is entertaining to me or not. You feel what I'm saying? So if I had to watch water boil or come to a boil from being a block of ice, am I gonna sit there halfway through when it starts to get a little puddle around the rim and shit like that, and I start to hear cracks? I'm gonna get me a popcorn, a beer, and roll up a blunt like this shit about to get good. No, there's nothing fun about watching that. And believe me, I'm a chef. There's nothing fun about watching or waiting for water to boil, especially when you need it. So I don't want to watch water boil that I paid money to watch or took my time out to watch and tuned into this thing. Or if ESPN wanted to put this fight on ESPN Plus and try to make me pay a pay-per-view to watch water boil. No, so you can tell me how technical it was. And I can tell you how technical boiling water is because I can start with how the pot was made, what type of stove it was. You feel what I'm saying? The importance of understanding how natural gas comes from deep in the earth and they build these intricate pipelines that then go into your apartment house or villa, wherever the fuck you are, and you turn that little thing on, and that is science. That is so much technical in just being able to turn that shit on and it goes tick, 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 woof. Yeah, I can get technical about water boiling. The scientific part of saying, yeah, this water stands still at this temperature. And for it to come to a boil, it needs to go to this temperature. And then once it boils, now we're actually looking at a different process because the smoke that's coming off is not smoke, it's water vapor. Well, who gonna sit there and listen to me ramble on about fucking water pots and natural gas and stoves and what kind of stove I'm boiling it on? If I gotta explain all of that shit to you, it's telling you, listen, bro, shut the fuck up. Watching water boil is not entertaining. no matter how the spin you trying to put on it. And for Shakur Stevenson, this is what you don't understand. Body brought up, was it Money Mayweather or the other Mayweather that beat Canelo? It was Money Mayweather, because that dude knew how to take a boxing style and make it entertaining. I can say the same thing for Tim Bradley, because I don't remember watching Tim Bradley's fights and being like, this shit's not entertaining. He don't hit hard at all, and it's just like out of 33 fights, you got 13 knockouts. You feel what I'm saying? Which is a crazy percentage, but the fights, some of the good fights that you fought, them shits were entertaining. I could say the same thing for Andre Ward. You feel what I'm saying? But Shakur, you've got a lot of fights under your belt, or you know, in the boxing world, more than two that a person would say, them shits wasn't entertaining. So now you're lowering the standard of your competition to give us the entertainment value. And now you're trying to gaslight us and tell us we can't appreciate who the opponents you fight in. Boxing fans couldn't appreciate the fact that you stopped Patty and how you put hands on him. A part-time fighter, by his own admission, and I'm not talking about Shakur, I'm talking about Patty. So at the end of the day, it's just like, my friend, man, if you got to do all of that explaining, you've lost the argument. You really lost the argument, and this is why you're so upset at the boxing public. This is why you're desperate to try to play the villain role, because you can't be you and become a household name. Because the minute you tried to be you, you become an entitled kid. And that entitled kid, people just don't like. The hungry Shakur Stevenson that was at 126, and then when he moved up to 130, before he lost his shit on the scale, that kid was something amazing. There was so much hope in that guy. Maybe instead of watching the fucking De Los Santos fight over and over again, maybe you should watch interviews of yourself at 26 and when you first got up to 30 and ask the Shakur you are now, if that Shakur was to sit down and talk to you, what would he say to you? What the fuck would he say to you? And what would he tell you to change? And that's where it is. And for people to come out their face and say, oh, Tank said he retired and he ducked Shakur, that's just a level of, maybe you need to go see a doctor and get some pill, because that kind of STD you got is it's highly contagious, and I know where I know who you dudes is fucking to get that STD. And people will be like, AC, what the fuck you mean STD? Systemic terminal dumbness. That's what that is.
Let me go over something, right? Because I gotta lay this down on wax, right? So people can understand like where I'm coming from when it comes to these conversations, and what I be saying about the subconscious and how it does not matter if people are telling you untruths, right? It just, the subconscious is only latching on to what it hears the most. So since there's a lot of channels out here where they be saying, oh, Tank don't fight nobody, and Shakur is, that guy, and he's doing, let me paint a picture for you. Shakur, he got Oscar Valdez, he got Jamel Herring, he got Robson Conceição, he got De Los Santos, who he fought for the vacant. He got Joet Gonzalez, who he fought for the vacant. Let me know if I'm missing anybody that Because Joel Gonzalez, that was for the vacant belt. De Los Santos, that was for the vacant belt, the one that Devin had dropped. So those were vacants that he fought for.
Yep.
Robson Conceição had went on to get a championship, and that was when they robbed they robbed Oshaki for it, like, to get it. Jamel Herring, he took his strap, and that was the unified one. And he actually beat Oscar Valdez. That's the championships fights for Shakur. Like, somebody tell me if I'm missing somebody. Am I missing somebody? Let me know in the comment section. You know, if you dropping by, don't run now. Don't run. Don't run. Let me know if I'm doing justice by Shakur Stevenson, because those are all the guys to where he fought those people for a vacant, or those were champions that he got. Like, those are the champions. Let me know if I'm missing anybody.
Correct. All right.
Oscar Valdez, Jamel Herring, Robson Conceição, De Los Santos for a vacant, Joel Gonzalez for a vacant. Let me know if I'm missing anybody. And then you got the silver medal in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Tank, he got Gamboa. He got Pedraza. He got Leo Santa Cruz. He got Hector Garcia. Rolly went on to get a strap. Mario Barrios was, they calling him a secondary champion, but we know that he went up there to welterweight. He got a strap. Pitbull, he went on to get a strap at 40. Lamont Roach, he had a strap. So we got Gamboa, Pedraza, Leo Santa Cruz, Hector Garcia, Rolly, Mario Barrios, Pitbull, Lamont Roach. As far as and Ryan was his big money. Ryan was the big money fight, but he wasn't a champ, so I didn't include him. But that was the big money. So what am I missing? Like, I don't know what. Like, so these guys, huh? I'm missing somebody.
Now you got Joet. You got Joet Gonzalez. That's his first belt.
Yeah, I got Joet Gonzalez. So it was Joet Gonzalez, Oscar Valdez, Jamel Herring, Robson Conceição, who went on to get a strap, De Los Santos for a vacant. And that Joet Gonzalez was for a vacant.
Okay, yeah. Joet Gonzalez was a vacant. People couldn't. Well, that was for an intern when he fought Nakatilia. Then he fought Herring for that belt because he was the intern champ to Jamal Herring. And then he fights Oscar Valdez.
So what am I missing as far as this killer? Like, what am I missing that says that,
both of those were vacant?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when he got up to, yeah. And I'm just double checking on BoxRec. Yeah, that's it.
This is what I be trying to say about the subconscious. The subconscious had you thinking that Oscar Valdez, Jamel Herring, Robson Conceição, De Los Santos, and Joet Gonzalez trumps a Gamboa, a Pedraza, a Leo Santa Cruz, a Hector Garcia, Rolly Romero, Mario Barrios, Pitbull Cruz, and Lamont Roach. You see what I'm saying? Like, it don't make sense, man. Y'all gotta make it make sense, man. Like, people gotta make it make sense. Like, what are we talking about? And then the fact that he hasn't even touched 140, they already giving him the benefit of the doubt with a TO. The fight, it ain't even etched in stone yet. So he hasn't even touched 140. Like, what am I missing as far as this comparison where Tank is ducking and he gotta? And this is my other question. And I wonder why the Hall of Famers never bring this up. It's funny how everybody can tell you that, like the way C Dub was over here trying to he was getting ready to try to start some shit, right? C Dub was over here talking about how PBC was not letting them. Okay, so it's this narrative, right? That they wouldn't let Bud play in any reindeer games because they had all of the belts over there at PBC. So what did Earl do? Earl said, I'm gonna clean up my side of the street, right? And then I'm coming for Bud. But there was opportunity for Bud to go grab some straps too, but he said he didn't want to fight. When it came down to Ugas, he didn't want to fight him. He said he wasn't gonna fight. He was not gonna fight him. When it came down to the Manny Pacquiao, when it finally came down the pike, because at first Bob was blocking it, but then when it finally came down the pike, Bomac said they didn't want it, so he didn't get the Manny. He didn't do the Manny Pacquiao. Yeah. But when it came down to all the other belts, when he first moved up, he came up. He fought Jeff Horn for a strap, fresh off of the Manny Pacquiao, him beating Manny Pacquiao. After that, he blew everybody out. He stopped everybody like at 147. But then Earl, he had already had the Kell Brook strap. He went and got the strap from Sean Porter, and he went and got a strap from Ugas. That's the history. So that's what happened. And everybody will tell you that PBC was holding Bud out from getting all of the straps and all this. Well, what about this? What about there was a time where Tank had a strap, the WBA, he was over there on his island with PBC, right? Yep. But Lomachenko had a strap over there with Top Rank. Baranchek or Keyshawn, they had a strap at Top Rank, and Shakur was over there. There was no onus, there was no pressure, because it's odd how in one instance, when all the belts was over there on PBC, they said they would not allow Bud to go over there and fight anybody. Well, when all of the straps was over there on Keyshawn's side, right on Top Rank, with a 5-fight deal on the table, where was the same pressure from the Hall of Famers who get paid to talk at the fights? Where was the pressure? Where was the pressure?
There was no pressure because it doesn't fit the current narrative. It's if I'm running my own liquor through my own still and using my own bottles, I'm using a pipe big enough that shit just flows through. If I'm running somebody else's liquor, I might use a skinny ass pipe and make the shit take a little bit longer so I could weasel them out of their money and be like, look, man, this shit's taking forever. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Did you filter this shit properly? Cause I don't know. How was your match? You know. So at the end of the day, it's just like you go Top Rank. I can say it like this. Top Rank was great at pushing narratives and their spokespeople in their relation to ESPN at that time, which is still basically the largest sports platform, you feel what I'm saying, in America. If you got the ESPN echo chamber behind you, people are going to believe the stupid shit. People are going to believe, whatever it is, because you'll have Max Kellerman, you'll have Stephen A. Smith, you'll have all of these guys that jump on the narrative bandwagon because they're paid to. And then when it comes down to the commentators, the usual suspects, Tim Bradley, Andre Ward, and whatever special guest, Mauricio or whoever else they got there, if they're all put on a MAC lip gloss, then it's a wrap. Shit's about to get glazed.
So tell me this, AC. Which promotional company are known for having the best matchmakers in boxing? I mean, or have you heard who do they always say have the best matchmakers in boxing?
The best to answer that question, it's I'm gonna use. I can't answer it the way you're asking it. I have to add like a little caveat, which I hope doesn't sound weird or anything. But hands down, PBC has always been when you look at the cards, like PBC card. Oh my God, the cards are so stacked. Look at the PBC card. Top Rank will give you, a bunch of people that people don't know. Some fights that you're like, damn, when is this shit over so we can get to the main event? You feel what I'm saying? Top Rank did have its moments where they put together some decent cards, but that was usually some sort of cross promotion. But a Top Rank card by itself, standing alone, them shits could not match with a PBC card. This is why everybody wanted to go over to PBC, because yeah, you working on which what was joked about, that back end money, but that back end money is going to triple what you get, although it don't come in the way yours come in because you're on a salary. How you gonna talk about you really your own boss when you get paid a salary? Bosses put themselves in there. They take the owner's cut. So if this don't do well, I don't do well.
Yeah, I think as far as like events and cards, I think PBC hands down. But I've always heard that Top Rank had the best matchmaker. Like when it come down to matching a fighter.
In that context, yeah, I might have just completely farted on the way you asked the question.
Yeah. Okay. So I was like, because I didn't want to make nothing up, because I've always heard, because that's why they be coming up with the Top Rank diet. Like they say, oh, it's a Top Rank diet. That's like the Belonga.
For those people, I see when you say it like that and you add the context to it, and now it gives me, as not as a content creator but as a fan, the ability to go back and listen to those talking points, or just use my own observation. For those fighters that they put that they invest in, they match make the shit out of their careers, to whereas if you stay on that Top Rank plan, you feel what I'm saying? You're going to be a champion. You're going to be a unified champion. You could possibly be an undisputed champion. You may even become a lineal champion. You feel what I'm saying? Because they know that formula. Now, on the opposite side, the cards that Top Rank and the entertainment value that fucking PBC puts on crushes that. But PBC tells you, listen, you want the accolades or do you want to be a star? The accolades will get you money. The accolades will do a lot of things for you, but you can get those accolades, still be a star, and still go home with enough money in your pocket to feed your family. It's up to you. We know that to be true because here's an example. Errol Spence, Jamel Charlo. Jamel Charlo. Tank, a multi-division champion. David Benavidez, a 2-division champion. You feel what I'm saying? So PBC does stuff like that for their fighters, but you have to take the owner's draw to it, to where it makes you a better businessman, to where you really understand what's going on with boxing. With Top Rank, it's basically, listen, I'm hungry, so what do you want to eat? I don't know. All right, so go get me that pre-made pack of meatloaf. We're gonna use the box mashed potato and we're gonna get the gravy out the jar. Everything is pre-made. All you gotta do is put that shit together and it's match made. Meatloaf, mashed potato, and gravy. What isn't, comfort food like that? And that's what Top Rank feeds, the people they want to invest in. This is why, unless certain things happen, the watch how they move Zinder.
Yeah, like that's what I was trying to say. Like the proof is pretty much in the pudding, because at a time when at a time where like you look at Lomachenko, he had got a shot right out the gate. Then he lost. He got a shot. He got another shot like right away. They had built Shakur, like all of the stuff that Shakur did was under top rank watch.
Yeah.
And so it might not have went. I think Shakur was thinking it should have went a little bit faster. But then when they came around with Keyshawn, you see how fast they did. They was actually they ordered Gustavo Lemos off of that loss of that IBF title eliminator over there for him, brought him down. He got Baranchek right after the Navarrete. Like it's blistering. Like when you look at Abdullah Mason getting ready to go for a strap soon with Sam Nooks already. Like he's getting ready to go, and they've groomed him down that path, but they set him up in line to actually be there. When you look at how they built up Edgar Berlanga, and when he finally got past that knockout streak, and they start upping him, upping his level of competition, it was a little bit of exposure there. But shit, they built him up to where when he became a free agent, he was ripe for the picking for Canelo.
Yeah.
Like,
be careful, because them niggas will build you up just to feed you to somebody that's hungry. You feel what I'm saying? And just to give a final caveat to what you're saying, and it's, I don't want to really feel this way about Conwell, but it's kind of looking like they you know what I'm saying? They may have caught Conwell at the right time in between some personal shit and made that fight to get him out of the way to make room for Xander.
That's exactly what they did. Now, I don't know what happened with Conwell that day. Because I think if you give him that fight again,
oh, he stops that dude.
Yeah, but I don't know what it was. I don't know if I don't know what that was. But like immediately, that guy immediately got a shot. Like right after.
Yeah. And we was calling for that shot for fucking Charles Conwell forever. Like, when they gonna give Conwell a shot? Like, look at these champs up here. These dudes need to give Conwell a shot. Okay, for me, what's kind of making more sense, that's why I went that way with it, is the fact that, you might have caught Charles Conwell, in the middle of something heavily personal, outside the ring. He may have been in a financial situation. You feel what I'm saying? Because when we examine Bacoli ain't really never had a shot at a full training camp to face some of these dudes.
Yeah.
Feel what I'm saying? The Joseph Parker situation. So for me, it's like, did something happen in the middle of camp with Charles Conwell? Was something going into camp? But it just seemed like Top Rank smelled blood in the water like a shark and said, yo, we got to put this guy against, a tough out that's extremely awkward, because I think that'll be the thing that beats him.
I'm going to tell you who did it. Though, AC. I'm going to tell you whose play this was. This was Oscar's play. See, Oscar was never going to allow Conwell to get too big or to be able to have a strap. Why? Because Virgil Ortiz is this guy. He can't have it. And this is the same play over and over again. I forgot
about that.
The reason why Blair had to take a back seat. There's so many people that look like us that had to take a back seat over there. And unfortunately, when they came over there to Golden Boy, and now they finally get somebody like a Schofield, and look at what they doing. He's dinosaur hunting now. He's on Devin Haney. He's like on the Devin Haney plan, like where he like them cougars. So when you got a guy especially a golden boy. If you got a golden boy, it's gonna be like that. That's why Virgil is the guy. So anybody at 54 was gonna take a back seat. It was the same way at 47 for Blair, because it was Alexis Rocher over Blair, even though Blair did what he needed to do against what's the dude he knocked out from the dude from he stopped the dude from Dallas, the black dude from Dallas. He got set back by he was supposed to get a Virgil. Blair Flair has beat that dude. What's that guy name? Jim. The Maurice Hooker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Maurice Hooker. So he beat Maurice Hooker, and because you gotta think, Maurice Hooker, Maurice Hooker got a Virgil.
Yeah. Oh man, that just now that
Maurice
I'm thinking
Hooker.
about that, you just brought up that other dynamic in Conwell. Yo, that shit's looking like a top rank and golden boy set Conwell up because he was dangerous to both the guys that they want to put money behind.
Yeah, it was golden. It was Oscar, man. It had been Oscar because that's who he was with. He was with Golden Boy. So the Oscar. He knew what he was doing, man. He did the same. That's why I asked that question that time. I said when I got to talk to Blair, and I asked Blair, I said, man, well, what is B-Hop over there doing? He said, absolutely shit, nothing. I'm like, so he ain't no advocate. He's like, man, he ain't doing and I found it hard. It shocked me. I thought B-Hop was
Yeah, is a company man over there.
And they already got the guy who they want to be the star. Ain't gonna be no play in GA, man. Cause Ryan, you gotta think about it. Ryan actually had to take the training wheels off. Like now, Ryan talked all that stuff about Tank. He went on Mike Tyson. He said God was gonna told him he was gonna knock Tank out in the first round and all this other stuff. And then he pulled out with the mental health stuff. So then when he came back, I'm thinking Oscar was gonna do the same thing he was trying to do with Floyd Schofield. Because remember, you said that Floyd Schofield got that tap on the shoulder against Shakur.
Yeah.
And Oscar was also saying, listen, guys, we got time, and I think we should, guys, let's just relax, there's no rush, so that's always been his plan. Because if you look at how long Zerto, when you look at Jaime Munguia, when they finally got off the pot, the motherfucker was already like 40 fights in.
Yeah.
So if he have his golden boys, and you like a brother coming over there, it's a lot of Speedy Rashidi. Because Speedy Rashidi went through the same thing. Speedy Rashidi, Blair the Flair, Charles Conwell, they all victim of the same thing over there at Golden Boy. They had Golden Boy.
Yeah. They came in at the wrong place and at the wrong time because that man just wanted to sign you. You feel what I'm saying? To say, yeah, we picked up this dangerous fighter to try to sell the fact that these two guys may see each other in the future, knowing that you're not gonna put them two niggas in the ring.
Sometimes these guys, it's just like in football or basketball. Sometimes they pick you up just to shelf you. It's just like when you sign an artist. Imagine how many artists got signed just to get shelved. Like, oh, you never gonna go nowhere else. And
yeah,
you think you're going over to Def Jam? And like, sit your ass up on this shelf.
And we just gonna put you on a couple of features to pay you, $3,000-$4,000 for the feature fee, and you're gonna be happy because you're gonna take that $3-4 grand, buy yourself a used vehicle. You feel what I'm saying? That's a car note, knowing that it's gonna be a minute before the next feature you on.
Yeah, we're gonna keep you a starving artist, so you're gonna stay hungry, but you're never gonna blow, B.
Exactly. They this is what they do, and then once once you get to that point where you really that starving artist, now you're gonna start to ask me, can you borrow money against your album? They got you in the studio every day, collecting studio fees, you borrowing money. You feel what I'm
Partying.
saying? You
You got the
partying, you
chain.
brought you a car, your chain, all of this other stuff. You got to remember photo shoots, and then we had to bring you a stylist. So your residuals off your first two albums is basically ours, and plus that loan we gave you. You feel what I'm saying? So these dudes in the boxing world come in sometimes doing the same thing, and these promoters know that they putting these kids in these fucked up financial situations, knowing that they coming from a spot where this money is like $1 million to them. I ain't never held 10,000 shit in my hand before, let alone 50 or 100,000. And that's these kids' mentality. And when you get that little 25 or 10 or $50,000, signing bonus, you know what I'm saying? You going to the hood, you calling your mans like, yo, I'm about to go to the dealership tomorrow. I'm gonna pick me up a little hoopty. I'm gonna get my chain, and we going shopping. We, oh motherfuckers, it's French now. Now that they got that bread in their hand, y'all niggas is we. Yeah, I hear that shit. But this is what they do to trap these boxers, and then now you on and they say you got to fight the fights we want you to fight. Yeah, but I'm a talent. Yeah, I know, but we got to pay. You got to pay this stuff back. We're a company. We're not a bank. And once they say some shit like that to you, you're like, oh my God, I just fucked up and signed with these people. Wow, I can't believe they threw that shit at me. We a company, not a bank. Wow. And that's the shit that's the shit that's that harsh ass reality for these young fighters. And when they get shelved, they not out there trying to go talk shit about that, because that's embarrassing. You feel what I'm saying? So I hate to bring this type of comparison, but it's for some women who get sexually assaulted, it's a mind thing. Well, was it what I had on? Was my sneakers too old or too new looking? And I'm just saying it right now in these descriptions as the boxer, like, maybe I shouldn't have wore them jeans and that hoodie to that meeting. Maybe I should have tried to come in with a suit, but these dudes just raped me over my contract, and I feel violated now. It's like, yo, nigga, that's the business of boxing. That's the entertainment business. You ain't the first. You ain't gonna be the last. They saw you coming. They saw your thirstiness, your desperation. They said, yeah, he's a good talent. We could use him to build up this guy. We want to put all this money in because he's the guy that's has the smile. He has the charisma. He's got that it thing that makes him a household name and makes him a champion. The same thing we thought about Shakur when Shakur was coming in. Half Puerto Rican, half black kid coming out of New Jersey. Got the dimples. Got the little Michael Strahan gap between his teeth. Yeah. We can make something out of this kid. And then he became entitled. Same thing they felt about Keyshawn. Yeah. Oh my God, this kid is special. Let's be reserved with him for a minute because we've already learned our lesson, and he's coming from that same school of thought. We already learned our lesson with Crawford and Shakur. So, let's try to take it a little slow. But then he comes in with the DB3 dynamic. You feel what I'm saying? Then he changes. He upgrades his nickname to the businessman. Then he starts to look like he really understands the business of boxing. with bringing on his brothers and trying to be hands-on in the card and stuff like that. And then he crashes out. Now all that money, all that promotion, the little interview they did with between you and Shushu, you feel what I'm saying? The big lights and posters that they had you up there, and letting everybody know you're gonna be the next big thing. It's the DB3 era. You crash out, your brother loses, and now you done fucked up that money. People don't understand how vindictive Top Rank really is.
I don't know why, because this is always, that's why I be trying to say, people be thinking I be popping stuff out my tail, but I be looking at the examples that's already went before me, because that's really, I don't have the inside sources and all that. I just gotta go by the patterns and just paying attention, following the bouncing ball. And they already showed it, like when T.O. was the prime example. When he crashed out, you can already see, and you can kind of like judge the timeline, because T.O. be trying to have it both ways too. In one way, he is absolutely right. He should have got way more money than what he's been getting, right? But at the same time, he would, right when he was getting ready to like really blow, you know what I'm saying? Like, he would do something that set him back. Like when he tried to, like that stuff he did when he went over there and he was trying to do that Triller stuff, and they bumped heads with Floyd, and he started getting too big for his britches and started saying he was gonna be out, and it's like, no, man, no. Like in that way, he should have been more like Shakur, where Shakur sat back, he played chess, he was weighing his options the whole time, he kept people with a cliffhanger, and then he just boom, he was like, nah, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to learn how to keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At that time. And now he feel like he off, and now his reputation and his big brothers who like are gatekeeping for him are paving the way. Like, they're paving the way. Like, that's why for those stories that we named, for like the Conwells who got set up, the Blair the Flairs, even the guys like the Kyron Davises, the Lonnie B's, the Darnell Boones, like these guys with these short notice fights who have to go through the ringer and have to fight killer after killer. Like Kyron had to get in there with David Benavidez on a short notice, right? Lonnie B had to get in there with him too on short notice, right? Like Blair the Fair, he's not getting full camps and all that. He might get one coming up because now he got the proper representation. But for every one of these guys, you got to stop and think about it. Like a guy with like Tank, yeah, he took a liking to him, introduced him to Floyd, and then he had to go through it like over there. He didn't, like, that shit just didn't pop up. He wasn't matched. He wasn't on no Top Rank diet. He wasn't groomed where he had all these people. He didn't have a Floyd like pursuing him and a Jay Prince wooing him and having Andre Ward, because he was of that Olympic pedigree that he pretty much had everything rolled out for him. He had to go get that shit out the mud.
Yeah.
And he wound up going in there and, using his craft, using his experience, bottling that shit up and start knocking people's blocks off, like in the ring. And he became that money guy. But when you go back and listen to that interview, Floyd was doing some stuff with him and fucking with him and his money and how he was living and all that. And like he never had the silver spoon. So for them guys to have all of that stuff and have that head start and have all those things working for him, to just attach themselves to his name and then say that he has to do something for them, it's like y'all got the game fucked up.
Yeah.
He don't have the same thing that y'all had. He did not have the same thing that y'all have, and he still don't. Like, you got Akin Barak hating on this man. You got Tim Bradley and Andre Ward hating on this man. None of these guys work for him or have an agenda. They got all these people that they could be promoting, but they use their voices and their power to just shit on this dude.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, listen, man, we gotta, you know, we gotta do better, man. We gotta do better, and we gotta like we can't do this to the people that's coming up now, like the Abdullah Masons, the like this one dude, Scooter Davis. I've been talking about, like he's like even the way that because if you think about it, Tim Bradley and them, they doing the same thing, and this is why I asked myself, Tim Bradley in particular, he doing the same thing to Brian Norman.
Yep.
And I'm like, what is it? Is it because you didn't have that kind of power? Like, is it because you couldn't bust a grape? Like, I don't know, what is it?
Yeah.
Like, so, but he's doing the same thing to Brian Norman. I'm like, well, what the fuck is it about Brian Norman that he don't like? I'm like, hold on now. Yeah, I mean, you know, he has grown and he progresses every time, but it's like he had this thing where it's like if you're not on this code and they're not like even Jihad, he was talking about Jihad. Remember I came out and I said, listen, man, what would happen if Tim Bradley was watching the Drunken Master back in the day?
Yeah.
Like, how would he call that fight? Because every time Jahai get in there, it's like, oh, they're technically, and you're supposed to shoot from. It's like, man, listen, nobody want to hear that shit. He don't fight that way. Call his fights.
Yeah.
It's certain people that he don't like, and they do this to certain people. But I'm like, what is Brian Norman? It ain't nothing. Like, what is there not to like about the young Brian Norman? Like, especially since he's getting better every time we see him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They use their voices, and even when this is showing that even when you're not on the other team, or so Brian Norman's not with PBC, but Tim Bradley figured out a way to shit on him. You know what I'm saying? He's on the banner, he's on the label. Jahai, he's on the label, he's with the banner, he shit on him.
Yeah.
It's just like, man, no, like for y'all to be Hall of Famers.
Because
y'all didn't say nothing wrong about Keyshawn. Keyshawn crashed out. Everybody waited to like the full crash out. Nobody tried to stop him on the way or say, hey, he waited till the day, like he waited until the press conference and said some things. But I'm like, at that point, man, you done already told him that he was on Tank level and he didn't do shit. Like if I just ran down what Shakur did compared to what Tank, Keyshawn in the grand scheme of things, he didn't do nothing.
But here's the thing.
He mentioned with a Tank.
But here's the thing. Let's use Tim Bradley's advice in his own words. You said, and we heard Tim Bradley say, there was nobody to talk to Tim. There was nobody to talk to him. Like, who's there to talk to him? Okay, you were there. Shakur calls him little bro. Bradley, you speak highly of Keyshawn. Neither one of you dudes could have talked to him. Like, yo, seriously, man, you going in a different direction. Let's chop it up. I'm only gonna school you on the business. You got your other fam that could really, put their finger on what's going on or whatever. You feel what I'm saying? But for me, I'm only telling you from a boxing perspective. You're looking like you're about to crash out, and just take it down. Don't let the pressure get to you. So you didn't do that. And you saying there was nobody to talk to this guy, but you are down with that whole situation. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't talk to that dude?
It got too far. Like that's the whole thing with them. And I don't know if it's the people that they're affiliated with or not. Like it got too far, like where they blew his head up so far that where it's like
we created this monster.
Yeah.
How do I now?
Yeah,
deflate it.
Yeah, like you gassed him, like you was telling him, oh no, you doing this, and yeah, Tank ducking you, and he need to fight, but then you telling him in the same breath that, oh no, y'all don't gotta fight because y'all friends. It's like, no, like where was Andre Ward like on that friendship? When was that? Like, but no, Tim, he pick and choose when he wants to intervene, because Tim also spilled the beans on when he said that Navarrete had a signed contract with Shakur. I played that before. But they don't say nothing about that. They don't say. It's a lot of things, and I don't know with Shakur. I don't know if it's the Jay Prince thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who Keyshawn got. That's been kind of quiet, but like for them to be Hall of Famers, And for them to have the you know, for them to garner the respect and have all of the ears of the public like that, I would use it a little bit better if I was them. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that they use it the way they could. They use it more to tear down ops, I think, or to be company men as far as the agenda than the
That's the
role
way
that
I
they
see
actually
it.
have to uplift
It's
more.
more used as a company man type of thing.
Yeah.
Because the example you brought up earlier, where you talking about uh, them shitting on uh, Brian Norman and some of the other fighters, and it's just like, okay, you got the memo. We understand you got the memo, but because you got the memo, does that mean you can't do constructive journalism or unbiased journalism, even though you got the memo? I mean, you could say all the positive things about this guy on the one hand, and then say, well, me, um, I'll do, I have my list, I have my pros and cons. Would a person feel that you're shitting on them if you did a pros and cons on them? Would the general public feel like you're shitting on them if you did a pros and cons? It comes in the context of how you doing it in the deliverance. So to a certain degree, I think if I'm in that position, I, I'm I'm a sports guy, or I'm a guy who reports on YouTube content creators, and it's like I get the memo from YouTube because now I'm starting my channel and they're saying, yeah, we could get you these exclusive interviews because we see that you're on a lot of channels and you try to keep the same talking point across the board, and you seem you seem to have found a way to navigate through the most hostile of channels. You feel what I'm saying? By giving that hostile host his talking point. Okay, I agree with you. There is some legitimacy to that. I'll give you that plausibility. But put that plausibility against the facts. This is what I'm saying. And then you're able to take that guy who would normally spaz out and now have him in a constructive conversation. Okay, so here's the memo. Bodywork is on the outs because we want to promote you and another guy that has a bit more followers than you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, damn, I know this nigga Bodywork. I talked to him off the phone. I could pick up the phone right now and call him. Oh, this is fucked up. So let me see how I could, keep what they offering me, because I would love to have that and be able to be respectful to my relationship with Bodywork. Do I call him and let him know, listen, bro, you on the list? Or do I just go ahead and make the show and say, you know what, y'all seen me co-host Bodywork's channel a couple of times. Overall, I'm just going to speak of the pulse of social media and content creators, and I'm gonna start with a guy I know, Bodywork Boxing. I'm gonna do my pros and cons. If I did it in a way that was respectful, it'd be like, all right, AC, I see what you did. What did they offer you? Bro, they offered me a lot. I gotta apologize off camera, blah, blah, blah. On my next one, I promise I'll come back and be like, listen, don't get it twisted. I still fuck with Bodywork, Hard Body. And if the man ever asks me to co-host the show with him, I'm there all day. You know what I'm saying? But moving forward, if y'all following my channel, you'll see what happened behind closed doors. Just keep your eyes open on certain things and certain sponsors that may be coming my way as a result of my newfound blah blah blah. So I could speak truth to power and let it be known that these niggas is trying to force me to do it, or I'm fucking basically out of YouTube and I ain't gonna be able to make no content, and they gonna block my channel, block my IP address and everything else to where I just can't get on the platform. It all depends on how you do it. You could be informative. You could still keep your journalistic integrity. You could tell them niggas, fuck you. I ain't about this shit on the homie like that. But we'll block you. Then so be it.
Mm-hmm.
So be it. I'm gonna keep my integrity. So people once you get to that level of, we basically talking no less than 500,000, watch how motherfuckers change. Watch how certain things become more relevant that you felt that it didn't really matter. And it's not saying you capitulated to everything. If you still have your journalistic integrity, that's not gonna go nowhere. You feel me? No matter how much money they throw in you, it's like, listen, I could take all of that money, I could take everything you offer, and I could have all of these followers, be the next big thing, and then this leads me into a regular TV deal, or a streaming deal on Netflix where they give me my own show, like Raw Deer Deck, how he had to shit on a big black dude that helped him become who he is on television. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's just like, choose how you're gonna be. If you're gonna be a company man, be the company man from day one. Don't try to flip flop and be a Stephen A. Smith, knowing that you're a registered Republican and you just trying to say, well, I'm just shooting it straight down the middle. If you're a guy that's shooting it straight down the middle, then that's what you do. People respect that, especially when there's integrity behind shooting it straight down the middle. You know what I'm saying? Because that'll mean I go after some of the guys that I've highlighted and I said, this is one of my guys. And I still go after them and shoot it down the middle. If I see some bullshit they're doing or they get involved in. Or I see that they got a gift in a fucked up decision. So, if you're gonna be to try to be the middleman, the guy that, I can see both sides of everything, and you're gonna be out here flip flopping a lot. You're gonna lose a lot of credibility. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just got to make a stand on one side of the fence or the other, regardless if you can see both sides of the fence. I can see both sides of the fence with a lot of shit, but at the end of the day, that still ain't gonna tell me what you did was fucking wrong. I don't give a fuck. What you did was wrong. I don't give a fuck. The opportunity was still there. All you had to do was X, Y, and Z. If you are the boss, this is what you tell somebody to do for you. You handle that. I don't want to hear that sympathy. Oh, he got his belt taken. Oh, that's fucked up. IBF be doing people dirty. Why they do it to that man like that? Well, they did it to Canelo and they did it to Usyk. What next? You feel what I'm saying? So get out of here with that. It's how you handle it. Canelo said, yeah, I'm still going to be at 68, take the belt. Okay, fine. I'll come back and I'll beat that nigga some other time in a fight that I don't really give a shit about. That's going to get me a bigger fight. So, that's the business of boxing. It's an entertainment thing. You know what I'm saying? We love the sport. We don't take ourselves serious. But, it comes down to maintaining the integrity of the sport and maintaining the integrity of the entertainment value by giving us the best fights, at least 2 a year, boxing fans won't be mad because they know early on in the year there's going to be a mega fight, and later on in the year there's going to be a mega fight. So if boxing community and promoters and shit like that did shit like that, bruh, boxing fans would be in a very, very happy place. We would be getting the fights that we want. We would be looking at Turk like, yo, Turk, we see what you're trying to do, but why aren't you just trying to establish something that's extremely easy? Just give us 2 mega fights a year, 2 big fights. So it gives enough time to get people on board and, you know, get the money right and get a mega card going. Put that shit wherever you want on whatever streaming platform. You're gonna do great things in boxing. Hey Jake. Stop hiding behind bitches. And no, I don't believe Tim Bradley. They saying that smack you got power and all of this other stuff. I cannot see you beating Gervonta Davis if Gervonta got serious with you for 1 minute or one legitimate round. That boy will fold you with a mean ass body shot. So people miss me with, this is a dangerous fight for Tank. In what universe? In what universe? So I'm just like, you know, I understand where he's making the bag. I hope my theory about it is more close to a reality. I don't, you know, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I told you 100%, this was supposed to go down. No. If he's doing it to bring more revenue to his next couple of fights, whoever that might be, then if it's going to be a Lamont Roach or Shakur Stevenson, the Lamont Roach rematch I think will do better numbers than Shakur versus Tank. I'm just saying in my opinion because you got more people that want to see a definitive end to that. And then they would be talking about the Shakur fight. So if your game plan is to do that and say, all right, now I can take what I did over at Netflix and take it back, you know, over to Amazon, because I'm struggling to try to rationalize the fact that PBC had this thing with Amazon. You feel what I'm saying? Your fights was that thing. How did Amazon let you go over to Netflix, their actual arch enemy, biggest rival, and do a big card with Jake Paul under the same moniker as PBC? I'd love to be in a room when you dudes was discussing that. I'd have loved to have been a fly on the wall to find out how the fuck that happened. But I'm accepting it, and I'm saying, to me, the rational side of that is once you go back to Amazon, if you go back to Amazon needed assurance that the numbers between you and Lamont Roach and the numbers between you and Shakur were going to at least double or triple what the numbers were for you and Lamont Roach. So we may be wanting to see if we just put it for free. We want to know that you're going to bring us at least 10 to maybe 15 million viewers.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the only, me having a business mind and trying to rationalize how this thing happened, how we got here. For me, that's the only thing that makes sense. That's why I'm, you know, trying to convince myself that the move was a brilliant move, was a calculated, brilliant business move to sell his next 2 fights. Because I don't think they're gonna go with the platform, with the whole we're gonna do a pay-per-view type thing. we're gonna go with just doing what Netflix did, let it air for free and hope that it brings us new subscribers. Because Amazon will not be able to compete with Netflix if Netflix stays on the trajectory of hosting these mega fights and mega cards and big, spectacle events for free, and all they're asking for is views and new subscribers. That's a pretty sweet deal. Would you say no?
I mean, it would be, but I think, to be honest, I think that some of the things that Turkey did kind of brought some of this about, because he was on the campaign to basically snatch any viable opponent away from Tank. So it's almost like that shit that they did on the Gladiator when he, he jugged him in the ribs.
And then wanted to fight him.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, he
took down a bit.
Because he took Canelo, because it was supposed to be, they was trying to get the Canelo David Benavidez. Then they got wind that it was Canelo and Jake Paul. All of a sudden, we got the money for you, Canelo. Then all of a sudden, we got the money for the Bud stuff. And so that was off the table. Anybody that had any kind of inkling that might have been an op for Tank, he was buying them. He bought Shakur. You know what I'm saying? That was the big one.
Yeah, I might disagree with you right there. I don't think he bought Shakur. I think Shakur sold himself. Like, listen.
Well, I mean, no,
I'm joking with you though.
Let me see. Shakur opted to go over there with Eddie, and all of a sudden he became the Turkey guy. And then Keyshawn became an ambassador. And then it was like, okay, so if it ain't no Loma, it ain't no Shakur, because he told him, hey, he told Eddie, don't even try to negotiate with a Tank fight. That's why I be trying to ask Shakur fans, like, man, y'all can't have it both ways. How do you go fucking sign over there and then tell him in public, hey, Eddie, don't even try to negotiate a Tank fight, but then have everybody online saying Tank ducking you? You can't have it both ways. But when you look at Turkey and all these bags, anybody of any note, even trying to get to David Benavidez, Turkey did a lot of things, man, to where people were saying, oh, he's great for boxing, he's great for this. He did a lot of things that kind of made PBC have to revisit some things. You know what I'm saying? And then with the Jake Paul thing coming along, it's like, what can we do? Because if it is true, then there are rumblings, other people, but part of this is like, I got to do some research on this because it is Tim, and we know he got a disdain for PBC. So part of it, I kind of believe part of it because it do kind of sound right. Because I do believe they both. I think Tank did start training for Lamont, and then all of a sudden we get announced that it was going to be Jake. Because remember, Jake was talking about
was training for Lamont. I saw the rumblings. I saw little clips and videos, and Lamont Roach was supposed to have been in training camp as well.
And it was rumors that I was like, as crazy as I thought it was rumors that Jake Paul was going to go for Anthony Joshua, and all of a sudden that gets shut down. I'm like, man, that can't be. But where's Anthony Joshua? He's over there on that side. Who got more influence? Like, who would have more influence over saying, now we got other plans for you. We got to wait for you to, you know what I'm saying? It's like some behind the scenes, because all of that got, and Jake had to do something. And it was already rumored that this was going to go down, like prior to the draw. It was already rumored that this was going to go down. It was just, I think the draw made it seem like, okay, we'll go ahead and clean that up so our numbers can be way bigger than what, you know what I'm saying, they would be once you clean up this draw. You go back in there, you spark this man, we can get you on, you know what I'm saying? And that fight will be real big. But when that AJ stuff fell out, you know what I'm saying?
That's the only part that I'm like, Jake, did you not read the room or read the memo? I seriously doubted that AJ would ever go in that direction and stop fucking with the Turk, because the Turk set his whole boxing jump off with Anthony Joshua. That was Anthony Joshua Ruiz too. that happened in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, that's true. But at this stage where AJ at,
I don't.
you know,
I still like. I think the Turk got a spot for like him and Wilder.
no, yeah, I know, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Turk got his hands on it because you gotta think, Eddie is subject to doing whatever Turkey, you know what I'm saying? He at his mercy because look at Boots.
Yeah.
And then look at what happened with this the writing on the wall. If you look at what happened with Richardson Hitchens go on, he stopped Kambosos. He called out Tio. Turkey had already had they trying to Mandela effect us that it wasn't supposed to be Tio and Richardson Hitchens at Alcatraz.
Yeah.
So think about this. Soon as that happened, Richardson Hitchens win. He stopped Kambosos in devastating fashion. Bodywork. And then all of a sudden, because that he was a free agent, now it's time for him to get paid because it's free agency. Just like with Shakur, he played chess. He didn't say nothing. He did what he needed to do. Finished out his contract in emphatic fashion. And then Turkey say, "Oh nah, if you ain't messing with Eddie, I don't want nothing to do with you."
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like he got his hands in his hooks, like outright, or whether he want to say it, whether people want to connect the dots. It's not really popular to be saying these kind of things, but it is what it is. Like it's the right. So I think that once Jake was like, I think Anthony Joshua would have entertained it, but something over there across the pond, especially since that's Eddie's guy and he over there with Turk. Something behind closed scenes was like, nope, ain't no way, Jake, because they took the Canelo. Him and Canelo had it. Jake was coming out saying, oh, look at this guy. He got, you know what I'm saying? He was coming out spilling the beans, and all of a sudden, that's not all involved. And Canelo was over there with Turk.
Yep.
So PBC had to do something because it was like at every end for every major guy. Because even with the David Benavidez, when David Benavidez, he was supposed to get the winner. They shut that down. He told Bivol, yeah, you know who been buttering your bread. You go out there if you want to. You know what I'm saying? You go over there and fight. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know what's good. Like, basically, he told the man, you know what's good for you. And then that got shut down. The Benavidez. So he took Canelo, right? He took Canelo in the opposition off of that. He took Shakur from the opposition to Tank. He took Keyshawn from the opposition to Tank, made him an ambassador. He took he said no way to Richardson Hitchens. He had Sabril Matias fight Alberto Puello, take the strap, and then mandated him for the Dalton Smith. Then he and in the midst of that, he told Bivol, you better not go over there and fight David Benavidez. That's the facts.
Yeah.
So he was, they had to do something. So I'm thinking this was like, I'm not saying like to the extent of what Tim was saying, like they going bank, they gotta do blah. I don't know about all that. I just know that I know that what I just said is facts.
Yeah, that kind of fucks with me because I guess Tim Bradley forgot, or maybe he decided to omit that Top Rank and PBC decided to do business together, and we did get results of stuff like that. I think in a couple of past cards. So at the end of the day, for me, it's like when you're looking at a whole new dynamic and your business model was predicated on one particular thing, and now that one particular thing is now in the new era. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah, you can still have HBO and you can still do cable, but it's going to take you longer to watch the new shit than if you did Showtime Plus, HBO Plus. You feel what I'm saying? So that lets you know that sort of pay-per-view model, it just doesn't work anymore. And because Amazon still could offer that type of model, and Netflix can offer that type of model, even Apple TV can offer that type of model. What then happens is the number of eyes that's going to be on the product and the number of potential new subscribers you can look at off of that. And for me, the Turk, you got your influence and shit like that, but the numbers are on Jake Paul's side. I knew Bud versus Canelo wasn't gonna do. I said I'd be happy if it did 50 million, but I don't think it's gonna do 50, 60 million. I think it's gonna be somewhere around 40, maybe 40 something or even less. This shit did 41 million. Yeah. Jake Paul, Amanda Serrano versus Katie, what's the name? That shit did 50. Just put that in perspective. That the face of boxing, Mr. Legend Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford only did 41 million. Now I'm only saying the word only because I'm comparing it to Amanda Serrano's fight, and I'm comparing it to Jake Paul's fight that happened later on that evening with the 60-year-old Mike Tyson. 110 million global households. I think the number in the USA was above 60 million. That broke pay-per-view. That just showed everyone pay-per-view is basically obsolete. So if you're gonna try to charge boxing fans money for pay-per-view fights, especially fights that they didn't ask for, no matter what platform you are, you're gonna find out that you're not even gonna do 100,000. You'd be lucky if you did 110,000, and that depends on if there's two solid pay-per-view people. And then look at this. That night with Jake Paul, they broke a record in a single night of new subscribers. 15 million people subscribed to, they gained 15 million new subscribers because of that event. After that, they have not lost that 15 million subscribers. They actually gained even more subscribers because of the Canelo and Bud Crawford. So at the end of the day, bro, it's like don't come at the boxing fans with no pay-per-view shit. Maybe fucking MMA could probably still survive off of that. And if Dana White survives, his political bullshit and the fact that boxing fans are not receiving him well because of him trying to go after the Ali Act, him and the Turk. So the Turk and this whole going after the Ali Act, if you really want to compete with numbers and shit like that, you got to clean that shit up first. Because it doesn't fucking matter any of these big fights and A side, B side, and half the things we was talking about, dealing with you, Turk, and supplying these bags and shit like that, if the fans and people are going to start to protest. And there are people who already protest. They're like, I refuse to watch anything that comes out of Saudi. So look at the backlash between Bill Burr joining that Riyadh comedy special. So you'll understand what I'm saying if you crisscross, some of the pushback. So at the end of the day, I really don't know how much time Turk has in boxing. These fights that are going to be put on these streaming platforms, I think the future of these fights they'll be free. bringing back the viewers and stuff like that, like the great championship fights that we used to get, during weekdays on Wide World of Sport as a special, or Sunday nights, or some shit like that. You feel what I'm saying? Championship boxing used to happen on Tuesdays and Sundays. You feel me? So
Yeah.
you know, it may go back to the golden era of boxing viewership. 2 billion people watched Muhammad Ali and uh, uh, Spinks 2, right? 90 million people tuned in and watched it here alone in the US. And that record still hasn't been broken for the most viewed championship boxing match. Muhammad Ali still owns that record. But 2 billion people globally watched that fight. And what are we talking? 110 million? If I picked up my phone and said, "Hey Siri, what is the percentage of of 110 million to 2 billion?" It's not even going to be. It's going to be like a 0.2 something, and that's less than 0.5%. So, bro, if boxing is going to survive in this future, the trajectory of fucking with these streaming platforms and having these fights for free, that's what's going to save it. That's what's going to now show that, yeah, when you give us the fights that we are asking for and the level of competition, we're actually seeing the best guys fight the best guys and not have to marinate forever, then yeah, boxing is back. Boxing will take over the UFC without TKO promotions and all of that other bullshit that's trying to come in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that PBC wants to do it. PBC is already right there. And this is why I hope this is what they're trying to revise, but it may not be able to happen. It may happen through Tom Brown if he stays with the company, but it might be the type of thing that, one of the founders may not, be here to see how PBC may once again become that thing in boxing to where we're all looking to see what PBC is doing.
I mean, I think to a certain extent, people still are. It's just, I mean, shit was up in the pipeline. Like I said, Turkey been buying. He been running a lot of interference, but we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure. But it was a great cook today, bro.
Yeah, we probably gonna have another one. I just wanted to put a stamp down on this, man, and get this one underway. But we'll touch bases, bro. I appreciate you coming through and chiming in, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. You feel what I'm saying? I just wanted to say, today I was listening to everything you was cooking on in the jump off, and like I said, I was trying to multitask and shit like that, but I'll always be in the background to hear your cooking. Your monologues is what sets the tone for the building of the conversation, and I'm gonna just say keep up that good work on those monologues and setting the tone for the conversation. You feel what I'm saying?
I appreciate it, man. Yeah,
because that keeps things focused and precise.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate it, man. I don't know no other way, man.
For sure. You feel what I'm saying? And it just shows the love for the craft. So, stay being, I'm only saying it as a compliment, but just stay being a content creator. because there's difference, between bloggers, vloggers, and actual content creators. Here, I appreciate this because content is actually created.
Yeah, I
You feel
appreciate that,
what I'm
bro.
saying?
I'm gonna stay on it, man. I'm in my vein. I just had to take a break, but I'm back, man. At least 2 or 3 times a week. We gonna be doing this at least.
Man, shit, it happens. We get fighters that'll do a year of fighting 5 times a year and then drop down to three. It's like, yeah, I needed a break in between that. So
Hmm.
it is what it is, bro. We'll chop it up, and
All right,
I'll
man.
hit you I'll hit you on a regular jack and shit like that, just to chop it up with you.
Okay, bro. I
All
appreciate
right,
it,
man.
man. I look forward to it. All right, man.
All right,
Enjoy your night, man. All right.
good show.
All right, peace. Yeah, man. Hopefully we did justice by this one, man. I just want to say, man, I don't want the message to get misconstrued. I mean, it's almost like one of them things to where y'all remember when Beanie, when he went off on Jay, and he was basically saying, hey, man, and this ain't a green light for all of y'all to go out and say yada yada. This is more like you taking your bruh behind the woodshed, you know what I'm saying? You getting something off your chest. I've got a lot of respect for Andre Ward and Tim Bradley, man. Like, I know my place. I know that these guys, they, risk their lives to get in that ring. Tim had his wars with Provatnikov, and, he also had his bouts with Manny Pacquiao. Andre Ward, he had his Kovalevs. And regardless whether or not I respect these guys in the ring, as Hall of Famers, that's one thing. I just think that I expect more from these guys. I know I'm just a content creator, right? I'm just a guy on the outside looking in. But I expect more of these guys, and hopefully, like Tim said, man, he said we don't do our research, we don't do our homework. It's like, well, I'm not sure what you've been giving us. I'm not sure we can't rightfully say that these been hit pieces, or you've been swaying the conversation because of personal agendas or jealousy or hatred, or the promotional gangbanging that everybody always talk about. But I'm just happy that Tim is being a little bit more truthful. He's being a little bit more transparent with the conversation, and that now he knows that, listen, Tank is human. But I don't think by any means that people respect the man for what he brings to the table. And I used to tell people all the time, and my lady reminded me, she was like, didn't you say that people are not going to respect him until he hang up the gloves? It's like, and not until he gives the inkling of somebody hanging up the gloves. That's way too late to give somebody their props, man. Just because you think they're getting ready to hang up the gloves, and then you really want to be honest about what they brought to the table and what this was. That's what I try to say, man. I keep talking about the subconscious. Do not allow people to mess with your subconscious, and just because they keep saying something over and over and over and over, do not allow yourself to be programmed by those things. Do your research, do your homework. You'll be surprised, man. And I know when people, they are allergic to the truth, because soon as you start hitting them with the truth, you start challenging them with the truth, they start running. Don't be a runner, man. Own up to your stuff, man. Own up to your, you know what I'm saying, to take responsibility and accountability. And because if you keep doing this to people, and you keep, berating people and putting people down who's really doing, you know what I'm saying, what they've always set out to do. The Tank always said he was about going to go get that bag. It's just wild how when you look at the sheer numbers and what he was able to do, aside from going over there to the Olympics and getting a medal, he's done more than all of these guys. If you play the accolade game, maybe you can say Devin because Devin had got undisputed, and then Shakur, he's actually gotten unified. But what is that in the grand scheme of things when you can have one fight and get undisputed, which is above being unified? That's almost like when people use semantics, man. The man has fought more champions than them guys, and he brings more attention to the sport than those guys. Because if you can uphold Jake Paul, or you can give him all this props for bringing eyes onto the sport, what about the guy who was raised up in the sport, who organically brought eyeballs into the sport without being a gimmick? What about that? And for years, he was the most effective as far as accurate in power punches. It's been a while since I did that statistic. But just like you give credit for people like a Bivol, like a Shakur for the defense, you gotta give people credit like Tank for the offense. Effective in the power punches. That's everything but a jab. He was the most effective in power punching. The most accurate. So, meaning throwing the least amount of punches, but hitting the target the most times, being the most effective. Like when you shooting, it's like not wasting rounds. That mean, you know what I'm saying? One shot, one kill. That's what that means. Anyways, y'all, I hope that you was able to put something in your rucksack and march on with it, man. It's just my goal to actually right a couple wrongs that's actually going on. And sometimes I have to express opinions that might rub you the wrong way, but I don't use people's personal lives. I definitely don't get as nasty and as belligerent as a lot of people out here who just shit on boxers all day, every day. I'm here to help preserve the sport. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to help keep eyes and ears on the sport, and so that you have something different to look at the sport in, like a different way of actually seeing things. So I salute to these Hall of Famers, man. I just asked them to be a little bit more responsible, man, with their positions, man, because they got a lot of eyes and ears, and it is a responsibility for you to be doing your research. The man Tim Bradley literally just said he just now read up on Shushu and Keyshawn and did his research on Tank. You know what's so scary is like, okay, we might could understand if Tank wasn't the face of boxing and he was an op and you were looking at him like an op. But for you to just now be doing your research on Keyshawn 4 or 5 days ago, just now doing your research on Shushu as an analyst and a Hall of Famer. Anyways, y'all, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga? Right. Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to